Chapter 965. That night, Muchichi lay in bed but she could not fall asleep. Even if she fell asleep, her mouth would mumble something. No one knew what she was saying. Xing Xiao woke up in the middle of the night and heard the little thing crying. He quickly turned on the wall lamp and shook Muchichi awake. Muchichi woke up with a start. There were still tears at the corners of her eyes. "Did you have a nightmare?" Xing Xiao's voice was soft and hoarse. "I'm fine." Muchichi shook her head and reached out to wipe away the tears at the corners of her eyes. "Maybe the child in my stomach kicked me." Xing Xiao sat up and hugged Muchichi in his arms. He rubbed her head and said, "Even if you want to find an excuse, find a decent one. Tell me the truth. What happened?" Muchichi could not hold it in for a moment. Her voice was a little choked. "I dreamed that I was dissecting Lu Zhao. After the autopsy, I realized that the person lying on the autopsy table was you. Xiao Xiao, can you not go? I'm really scared. Can you not go?" After Xing Xiao heard her words, he hugged her tighter and let her vent. "I'm guilty of making a pregnant woman cry. However, you're just generous with your words. Why didn't you stop me from the beginning?" "Do my words matter?" Muchichi raised her head and asked with a sobbing tone. "I naturally can't listen to other people's words. I'm Xing Xiao. But I naturally have to listen to you because you're Xing Xiao's woman." Xing Xiao hugged Muchichi and patted her back gently. "Calling you an idiot isn't an insult at all. So, you're not going?" "I'm not going," Xing Xiao answered. Seeing Muchichi's sad look just now, Xing Xiao's heart ached. He could do anything but he could not see the little thing sad. "Then what about Feng Chang? Don't take it for granted." Xing Xiao hid her hand under the blanket and covered it. Then he leaned over and kissed her forehead. "I'll send someone else. Feng Chang will think of another way. Are you really not going? Don't tell me you're going to leave after I fall asleep?" Xing Xiao laughed when he heard that. "Are you that insecure? Why don't you try pregnant? I know Feng Chang is not easy to deal with, but I also believe in Captain Tang's ability. I think you should also try to believe in Captain Tang. He will find Feng Chang's whereabouts. Do you believe that? Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Can we sleep now?" Xing Xiao looked at the time. It was only 4 in the morning. Even if he wanted to inform Tang Yen that there was a change in the plan, he had to wait until tomorrow morning, right? "Do you mean what you say? When was it not?" Xing Xiao asked in return. Muchichi pouted and thought about it for a moment. In the end, she obediently lay down. Don't blame her for being willful. Pregnant women were very fragile in the first place. She wanted to be Xiao Xiao's support, but she really felt that he did not have to go. It was not a multiple-choice question. While the couple was lying down to rest, Tang Yen had already been on duty for an hour. That was because the bodies of the sanitation workers had been discovered and reported to the police. Some people even claimed that they had a clue about Feng Chang, who was the foreman of the sanitation workers. It was a cold day and it was shrouded in thick fog. The visibility was less than 50 meters. Tang Yen and the other 2 criminal police officers saw the bodies in the sanitation workers' rented house and learned about the situation from the foreman. "Officer, the one who died is one of my workers. His name is Fan Linxing. Usually he's in charge of cleaning this area of Zhangping Road. But today someone reported to me that Fan Linxing wasn't at his post. The person cleaning Zhangping Road was a stranger. I quickly went to take a look and found that the person was actually a fugitive. Luckily, I was alert and didn't go up to call him. If I really angered those outlaws, I would have lost my life. In order to find the real Fan Linxing, I rushed to his residence. When I kicked the door open, I found him soaked in a water tank. I was so scared that I immediately called the police. Captain Tang Zhongting is nearby," the assisting police officer said to Tang Yen. "That Feng Chang might be trying to find out more about CEO Sheng and waiting for an opportunity to make a move. That makes sense. It's easy to deal with him if he appears. I'm just afraid that he won't show up." Tang Yen looked at another innocent person with a gloomy expression. Thinking of this, Tang Yen continued to turn around and ask the foreman, "After that, did you pay attention to the whereabouts of that wanted criminal?" "I saw him walking towards the north. I also have acquaintances in that area. If you want to ask around, I can help. That area is the slums, and the social relations in the surrounding area are complicated. However, I have 2 acquaintances who can speak to me in that area." Tang Yen looked at the cleaner's body and quickly said to one of his subordinates, "Call the forensic doctor to deal with it." "I'll go." "Okay, Captain Tang. How many more people does this Feng Chang want to harm?" After Tang Yen said this, he ignored his fatigue and quickly led his men to follow the foreman to the slums. That area was indeed the most complicated area at the edge of Jianchuan. It was difficult to control the people there. Therefore it was indeed a good choice for Feng Chang to hide here. Then the foreman brought Tang Yen and the others into a billiard hall. Even in the early hours of the morning, there were still many young people playing here. Brother Ching, I want to ask you about something. The foreman walked up and said to the owner of the shop, "You have a lot of connections. Can you let the neighbors on the street pay attention to this person? He just killed one of my workers and he's a wanted criminal." The foreman handed over the photo. The other party was a big guy. He was tall and had a cigarette in his mouth. At a glance, it was obvious that he was not to be trifled with. However, when he spoke he was very loyal. "I hate those cowards who use their hands to vent their anger the most. If you have the ability, come and kill me. If you have news of him, call us." Tang Yen picked up a pen and paper on the counter, wrote down his phone number, and handed it to the owner of the billiard hall. "Even if this kind of person doesn't want money, don't let me see him." Feng Chang was a fugitive, and now that he was full of revenge, he definitely had to come out to do some activities. "Alright, that's all for today. I'll wait for your good news. Take care, officer." The person called Brother Cheng put away the note that Tang Yen handed over and said to Tang Yen and the man. However, it was this officer that made Tang Yen instantly frown. However, he did not show it. Soon the few of them came out of the billiard hall. At this moment, Tang Yen said to the foreman, "Thank you for your hard work today." "It's fine, officer." After leaving the slums, Tang Yen got into the off-road vehicle, but he did not drive away immediately. Instead, he said to his subordinate, "Find the highest hotel nearby to stay." "Captain Tang, do you have any doubts?" Brother Ching seemed to know our identities the moment he arrived, so when the foreman spoke to him, he didn't express any doubts about our identities. After I handed him the note, "Do you remember what he called me?" Chapter 966. Tang Yen stayed in a nearby hotel. Of course, he did not dare to close his eyes. He held a pair of binoculars in his hand, but because of the fog visibility was blocked, so he could only give up. Thinking of this, an idea suddenly flashed through his mind. It was a crazy idea. "Go and find me some makeup tools and a set of ragged clothes," Tang Yen instructed his subordinate. "Oh, okay," the subordinate quickly said and turned to walk out of the hotel. It had been many years since he had disguised himself. He did not know if he could still deceive everyone like he did in the past. At that moment it was already dawn. The sky was gradually turning blue. His subordinate returned to the hotel with a pile of women's things, although he did not know what Tang Yen was going to use them for. "Captain Tang, are you going to disguise yourself? Do you want me to find 2 makeup artists who know how to dress up?" "There's no need. Just wait outside. Help me find an old phone that can only be used to take pictures." Then Tang Yen carried his pockets into the bathroom. The subordinate scratched his head. He really did not understand what Tang Yen was going to do. He could only go out again and go straight home to find the old phone that he had never used before. Then he returned to the hotel. At that moment, Tang Yen had already finished disguising himself. However, when he walked out of the bathroom, he gave his subordinate a fright. "Captain Tang, you..." At that moment, Tang Yan's appearance had completely changed. His clean and tidy face was now covered in scars, especially the burn on his left cheek to his cheekbone. It gave people goosebumps when they saw it. "Can you still recognize me?" Tang Yen put on his tattered clothes and hunched his back. Even an immortal would not be able to recognize him. The subordinate shook his head vigorously. "I can't recognize you at all. I didn't expect you to have such a skill, Captain Tang." "Cut the crap. I'll go down and get some information. You stay here and wait for further notice. Don't let Feng Chang have another chance to go out and hurt people." "But you're alone?" The subordinate was a little worried about Tang Yan's safety. "No need. You just have to take care of yourself." With that, Tang Yen took the old, tattered phone and walked out of the hotel room. This was his old profession. He knew better than anyone how to protect himself. Not far from the billiard hall, an old man carrying a bucket of rancid water rode on a small tricycle and left the alley. The police had already found the body of the sanitation worker. Last night, Tang Yen, that annoying criminal police officer, also came to the billiard hall. However, the police definitely did not know that the owner of this billiard hall, Cheng Zhizhong, was his former underling. "So, you want to capture him just like that? Dream on." Sheng Xiao was going to Z City with great fanfare. Did he think that he would follow him? He was too lazy to waste his energy. During the day he would go out to gather information and buy some materials to make bombs. At night he would stay in Ah Cheng's house and do some experiments. Of course, the 2 people he liked the most were the father and son of the Song family. He was on the wanted list for this father and son duo, but what about them? It was just that Yashang had suffered a little. However, with Song Buji's ability, it was not difficult for him to live a peaceful life. Looking at him again, everything had been destroyed. It had been destroyed by the father, son, and the little bride. Now that the Jianchuan police refused to let him go, he had to let the Jianchuan police know how powerful he was. Even if he was going to die, he had to drag some people down with him. When the sky brightened, Jianchuan seemed to have returned to peace. After Xing Xiao got up, he called Tang Yan, but found that Tang Yan's phone was turned off. Mu Qiqi was still in a coma because she had expended too much of her emotions last night. Xing Xiao put on his windbreaker and came out of the cloakroom. Seeing that the little thing still showed no signs of waking up, he went downstairs and instructed Fifth Aunt, "When young madam wakes up, prepare some calming soup." When Mama Xing saw him go downstairs, she asked him, "I heard you're going to Z City?" "I'm not going. Your daughter-in-law won't allow it." Xing Xiao directly dispelled Mama Xing's thoughts. That Feng Chang is really a cruel fugitive. The police just reported that someone died because of Feng Chang, and it was a sanitation worker. Mama Xing had reason to be so worried. Xing Xiao suddenly understood why Tang Yan's phone was turned off. He should be at the scene of the crime. "Don't worry, Mom. The vice president will take care of tomorrow's itinerary. Nothing will happen." Xing Xiao comforted her, making Mama Xing feel more at ease. "That's good." Mama Xing heaved a sigh of relief. "Now that Qiqi is old, she can't do without you the most. Take more time to accompany her at home. No matter how important work is, it's not as important as your child. Don't worry, okay?" Xing Xiao patted his mother on the shoulder and left the house after breakfast. Su Che was already waiting at the door. When he saw Xing Xiao, he immediately came up to him and said, "I've already gone to find out about the sanitation workers. It was indeed Feng Chang who did it. Now the police are urgently investigating the case. I also heard that Captain Tang, in order to confirm Feng Chang's whereabouts, he even sneaked into the slums. I think we can completely trust Captain Tang on this matter." Xing Xiao had never doubted Tang Yan's ability. He just wanted Feng Chang to be brought to justice one day. "I'll let the vice president handle the matter of going to Z City tomorrow." After saying this, Xing Xiao opened the door and got into the car. Su Che was stunned for a moment before he heaved a sigh of relief. It was not worth it for a person like Feng Chang. Then Madame should be the happiest. Was she happy? Xing Xiao thought to himself, perhaps. She was so noisy in the first half of the night. After knowing that he wasn't going, she slept soundly and drooled for the second half of the night. Her emotions were so obvious on her face. She must be happy, right? Then, about the will, does it not need to be notarized? Su Che asked as he drove. The will still needs to be notarized. However, it's changed to a gift and there's no need to make a big deal out of it. I originally planned to give these things to the little one. In the future I'll just be a worker and work for her. After Su Che heard this, he clicked his tongue in his heart. It was obvious how much he doted on his wife. Then we don't have to care about Feng Chang's case anymore, right? Later, go to the branch office and ask them what kind of assistance they need. As long as it's related expenses, Zhongting will bear all of them. Xing Xiao lowered his head and answered as he looked at his phone. Understood. Su Che nodded. Because Feng Chang had killed another person, the father and son of the Song family were now very nervous. Although the police were searching for Feng Chang, no one knew when this ruthless bandit would drag the father and son into the water. Back then Song Jiang had invited Feng Chang back to help him. However, who knew that Lu Zhao's case would turn out like this? Chapter 967. However, old Cheng was not annoyed. He only replied, "Old Mr. Song, are you afraid to go out? What do you think? There's a murderer outside." Song Jiang pointed outside the door. "Then why did you ask him to help you back then?" Old Cheng crossed his arms and asked Song Jiang, "Are you regretting it now?" "Let me tell you, the police need evidence to speak." Old Cheng shrugged, indicating that he had already shut up. Song Jiang was so angry that his face turned red, but he could not do anything to the police. He could only curse, but other than that he could not do anything else. Old Cheng did not want to waste time in the Song family. He wanted to follow the team and follow up on Feng Chang's case. However, his wish was soon fulfilled because Xing Xiao cancelled his trip to Z City. In other words, he did not need to delay the Song father and son any longer. Since that was the case, what was there to protect? Upon receiving the notice to retreat, Old Cheng immediately revealed an excited expression. "Old Song, I know you don't want to see me. As you wish, my colleagues and I will immediately evacuate the Song family. Please forgive us for disturbing you for the past day and night. Hearing old Qing say that they were going to evacuate, Song Jiang was suddenly stunned. When the police were still here, although he was annoyed, at least he was safe. Now that the police were suddenly going to evacuate, if Feng Chang came back, who would be responsible for his and Song Buji's safety? No, shouldn't the police give me an explanation? Why did you come and leave just like that? We want to gather all the police forces to arrest Feng Chang. If you have any news of Feng Chang, you can call the police immediately. Old Qing put his hands on his waist and laughed. Then he led all the police officers and evacuated from the Song family. Song Jiang was a little angry. Are you playing with me? Song Buji came out of the room and looked at his troublesome father. He was a little disappointed. You used to be quite good at pretending. You faced everything with a smile. What happened now? Feng Chang killed again. Song Jiang sat on the chair and slammed the table. I'm most afraid that he doesn't want to live and will drag us down with him. There are still bodyguards around. Now you can only pray that the police solve the case as soon as possible. Song Buji leaned on the table and sneered. If I had known that he was such a scourge, I wouldn't have suggested that you recruit him. While the father and son were talking in the living room, the family's helper suddenly rushed in and said, Master, young master, the water pipe in the house burst. We've already gotten workers to deal with it. However, the leakage is quite serious. I hope you can go upstairs to avoid it. After Song Jiang heard this, he kicked his chair. You can catch up with everything. You should ask Deputy Liang to protect you now. Song Buji looked at his father with a smile, his teasing tone growing stronger. But there was nothing they could do. The water pipe had burst, and the sound of running water could be heard from the kitchen. The father and son could only hang their heads and go to the second floor. The servant immediately called for a worker to repair the water pipe. The worker was wearing a mask and a hat and carrying a toolbox. After entering the Song family's villa, he didn't need to ask for directions at all and directly found the Song family's kitchen. You're finally here. Hurry up and fix it. The house is flooded and the main switch is broken. Okay, please go out first. The man put down the toolbox and said to the servant, Hurry up, the two male masters are angry upstairs. With that, the servant left the kitchen, and the plumber immediately took out a few things from the box. While he was repairing the water pipe, he also placed a package wrapped in black cloth in the cupboard. If it was ignited, the Song family would instantly turn into ruins. And the two scumbags upstairs would also be smashed into pieces. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Mu Chichi finally woke up after a good night's sleep. She got up and saw that Xing Xiao was not by her side, so she quickly went downstairs. Xiaoqi walked slowly. Mama Sheng saw her anxious expression and knew what she was looking for. She smiled helplessly. Eighth brother has gone to Zhongting. He won't go to Z City. Don't worry. After Mu Chichi heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. I had a nightmare last night, so I was scared. I've already educated eighth brother in the morning. Now that you're about to give birth, I asked him to spend more time at home with you. Mama Sheng helped Mu Chichi sit down at the dining table. Before he left, he asked fifth aunt to prepare some calming soup for you. Drink it while it's hot. Mu Chichi nodded. However, after breakfast, Feng Shanshan carried her son and went to the banyan courtyard. Why are you here? Mu Chichi walked around the living room with her belly propped up. Tang Yin went out in the middle of the night and hasn't come back yet. I couldn't sit still at home, so I brought the child over to see you, Feng Shanshan explained as she shook her son. What happened now? Mu Chichi's expression changed at once. Another sanitation worker died, Feng Shanshan said. It was done by Feng Chang. A passerby provided clues, so Tang Yin is still at the scene. After hearing this, Mu Chichi did not know what to feel. On one hand, she was glad that she had stopped Xing Xiao in time. On the other hand, she was filled with guilt for those innocent lives. You're still pregnant. Don't think about anything else. Mu Chichi did not speak for a long time. She only looked up at Feng Shanshan and asked, I'm quite selfish, right? I didn't let Xiao Xiao take the risk, but I could only watch as Captain Tang searched for Feng Chang everywhere and was in danger at any time. Feng Chang's target is me, not those innocent people. Although I don't know why he made me his #1 target, he just hates me. That's undeniable. Shanshan, do you blame me? You're a pregnant woman. What can you do? Moreover, Tang Yin makes a living. He's a police officer, and investigating cases is his mission and responsibility. Not to mention the danger this time, every time he carries out a mission he comes back injured. But this is his choice. Feng Shanshan chuckled and said, I don't blame you, nor do I blame him. I just feel that it's hard to bear. Muqiqi knew how worried she was about Xing Xiao. Feng Shanshan was very worried about Tang Yen. It's precisely because it's hard to bear that I carried my son up here for a walk. After hearing this, Muqiqi felt even more guilty because she felt that she should be the one to bear all of this. Don't think so much. The child in your womb is important. Shanshan, believe me. If possible, I will help Captain Tang solve the case at all costs, but I really don't have the strength to do so now. Chapter 968. You two children are just too affectionate. Mama Sheng could not continue to avoid them. She walked out of the room and sat beside Muqiqi. But think about it. Do they really need you to worry about them like this? Yes, the enemy is indeed ferocious. The outlaws are scary and intimidating, but you have to believe that they are not fighting alone. There are so many people waiting to catch the criminal. Why can't you have a little trust in each other? If you are too concerned about gains and losses, it will be easy for you to get hurt. Although I know that one of you has just given birth and the other is about to give birth, if you want them to be free of distractions, then listen to mommy and let the men do what they want. They have their own world to live in. Don't restrain yourselves just because of your emotions. Mommy is also worried about eighth brother. But there are some things that he needs to do. I also know that Shanshan has no other relatives in her family. But I also believe that you support Tang Yen from the bottom of your heart, don't you? Don't be afraid, okay? To you they are unique, but to us they are just as important. Mama Sheng's words made the two women's eyes turn red. You have to know that you are already mothers. You are no longer the little girls who need to be coaxed and lied to. You have to shoulder the responsibility that belongs to you. Mommy? Muqiqi leaned into Mama Sheng's arms. I'm too selfish. Come you come too. Mama Sheng reached out to Muqiqi and Feng Shanshan and hugged them like a normal mother. Be strong, okay? I have always believed in those two boys. Why don't you believe in your own eyes? Perhaps it was because they were not old enough and experienced enough. The two little women in Mama Sheng's arms were very sad. Especially when their men were facing danger, they always thought that they did not want them to be in danger. They believed in them. At this moment it was not easy to do so. Because there was only one person. If he was gone he would be gone forever. Just as Mama Sheng said, the more worried they were, the more they would worry about gains and losses. Do you feel better? The two of them poked their heads out of Mama Sheng's arms and nodded at the same time. Since that's the case, let men do what they want to do. As long as they love you, let them bear their own responsibilities. Thinking of this, Feng Shanshan felt much more enlightened. A few years ago, when Tang Yen was undercover, he had been facing desperados. He was not afraid then and he would not be afraid now. She was the one who had dug her own grave and caused Chi-Chi to suffer as well. You too. Eighth brother isn't at the front line. Why are you so worried? How could he be scared so easily? I don't want Xing Xiao to go to Z City because I don't think it's necessary. If there's a need, I won't stop him, although I'm a mother. Mama Sheng pinched Muqiqi's nose. Silly girl. Muqiqi and Feng Shanshan looked at each other. Indeed, the two of them were really silly. Thank you, Mommy. You've untied the knot in our hearts. It's great to have you. Although your mother has passed away a long time ago, I've always treated you like my own daughter. There's no need to thank me. Since you've thought it through, go lie down and rest. No, I want to hug you for a while more. Muqiqi leaned on Mama Sheng and refused to let go. Women were emotional. So, no matter what men did, even if they knew that there would be no accidents, they would still worry. This was their nature. However, Muqiqi also thought about Mama Sheng's words carefully. A woman's excessive feelings were actually a burden to a man. It was a burden to both herself and the other party. So, when Xiao Xiao returned home at night, she would tell him not to worry about her. He could do whatever he wanted. Since she had already sworn to follow him through life and death, what was there to be afraid of? Of course, the two men had never thought that their women were troublesome. Especially Xing Xiao. Muqiqi had been with him since she was 17. All these years she had been devoted to him. Even now she was still obsessed with him. He knew it very well. So, he was used to taking care of the little one's feelings. As for Tang Yen, he was filled with guilt and gratitude towards Feng Shanshan for not being at home all day. However, he was a police officer and he had to work hard to catch criminals. He had always thought that it was his blessing to be able to marry such a good woman. So, many times he actually hoped that Feng Shanshan could be a little greedy. He could give his life to the country, but at the same time he could also give it to her. It was noon. A homeless man was probably extremely hungry, so he found a bowl of instant noodles that no one wanted in the garbage and squatted on the street, wolfing it down. It was at the entrance of the billiard hall. The guard glanced at the homeless man and said in disdain, "Get lost. We're still doing business." The homeless man had only run a few meters away. At this moment, an old man on a tricycle stopped in front of the billiard hall and glanced at the homeless man. However, he did not suspect anything. Instead, he carried the bucket and entered the billiard hall again. This time, the security guard did not stop him. The homeless man only had one eye at the moment, so it was convenient for him to see people. However, he could recognize that it was the wanted criminal, Feng Chang. Feng Chang had indeed concealed himself very well, but Tang Yin still recognized his characteristics. In the afternoon, the old man carried the bucket and left on his tricycle. The homeless man followed from afar as if he was begging crazily. Because this was Brother Cheng's territory, no one knew if there was anyone watching them. Therefore, Tang Yin hid himself perfectly. On a tall building not far away, old Cheng was using binoculars to check the situation downstairs. Which one is Captain Tang in disguise? He looked at the faces of normal people and did not find anyone who looked like Captain Tang. At this moment, the young policeman laughed. "It's that homeless man." Old Cheng took a closer look and immediately felt a little nauseous. Captain Tang is too reckless. Even if junior sister Shanshan came, she wouldn't be able to recognize him, much less me. When Captain Tang first came out, I was also shocked. "Are you sure that Feng Chang is in that billiard hall?" Old Cheng continued to ask. "Yes." "Then why didn't you apply for an operation?" Old Cheng did not understand. If he had known earlier, he would not have protected the Song father and son and missed so many details of the case. Captain Tang said that we have to wait for further confirmation. Moreover, this place is Feng Chang's territory. Once he runs into the crowd, we won't be able to catch him at all. Instead, we'll alert the enemy. We'll wait for Captain Tang to have a meeting with us tonight. Chapter 969. Throughout the day, the old man who poured the rancid water came in and out of the billiard hall 3 times. Because his identity was too inconspicuous, no one paid attention to him. However, Tang Yen could see it clearly, so Tang Yen suspected that there was something in the old man's oil barrel. He came in and out so frequently to transport something. And if he wanted to figure out what it was, Tang Yen thought that he could put on a good show. Because his persona was that of a tramp. The last time he saw Feng Chang coming out of the billiard hall, Tang Yen deliberately went forward and grabbed Feng Chang's tricycle. He pretended to be hungry and rushed up to snatch the barrel from the tricycle. Feng Chang turned around and saw this. He pushed Tang Yen away and kicked him a few times. "Stupid beggar." After saying that, he put the oil barrel back on the tricycle and looked around. After making sure that no one was paying attention, he rode the tricycle again and left through the alley. Tang Yen lay on the ground and groaned. Although he could not see what was in the small barrel, he smelled it. It was the smell of gunpowder. At 6:30 in the evening, Tang Yen first rushed back to the hotel to take a shower and wash off his sloppiness. Then he returned to the branch office for a meeting with all his colleagues. "I found Feng Chang's whereabouts, but this person is very cunning. He's hiding in the slums, pretending to be an old man who pours rancid water. He also has a powerful informant backing him up. Cheng Zhizhong, the owner of the billiard hall in the slums, is also the tacit boss of this area. He has a lot of connections and many informants. In a place where social relations are extremely complicated, this brother Cheng is very popular. He can almost summon 100 people. What's even more frightening is that this brother Cheng and Feng Chang have a very close relationship. According to my observation, Feng Chang is now living in this brother Cheng's billiard hall. I've been a tramp in the slums for the whole day. From 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening, Feng Chang went in and out of the billiard hall 4 times. That's not counting the number of times he went out before I arrived. Every time he went out, he brought a few oil barrels with him. I pretended to be hungry and went to investigate. There was a pungent smell of gunpowder inside. So, the difficulties we face now are, first, the slums are Brother Cheng's world. If we want to catch Feng Chang in the slums, we have almost no chance of winning. Second, where did the things that Feng Chang transported go? Thirdly, what does he want to do? Tang Yen and all the police officers in the station were having a meeting. At this time, Feng Shanshan carried her son and delivered supper to the people at the police station. When Tang Yen saw Feng Shanshan, he immediately stopped the meeting and looked at her. His voice immediately became gentle. "Why are you here?" Everyone looked at the door and saw Feng Shanshan holding the baby. They immediately joined in the fun excitedly. "Oh my god, this is Captain Tang's son. So cute. Her cheeks are bright red. Super cute. Captain Tang, I want a hug. I want a hug. Rest for 5 minutes." The meeting had been going on for a long time and no one had a clue. Now that Feng Shanshan had brought supper, the group of hungry wolves could not hold it in anymore. They quickly thanked her and happily went to the dining area with their lunch boxes. His son was surrounded by a group of men, but Tang Yen could still whisper to Feng Shanshan, "It's such a cold day. Be careful not to catch a cold. You haven't returned home since early in the morning. I just wanted to come and see you. You're not out of confinement yet. You can't be exposed to the wind like this. Besides, the child is still young. I'm not afraid of being wrapped like this." Feng Shanshan held Tang Yan's hand and said, "If you're too tired, remember to rest. I'll take good care of myself and the child. Don't worry, fifth aunt and the confinement nanny are very careful." When Tang Yan heard this, he only felt guilty. He kissed Feng Shanshan's forehead. "It's so good to have you. Catch Feng Chang well. I'll leave with my son now." Feng Shanshan had been educated by Mama Sheng during the day at the Banyan courtyard, so she could understand this man's hardships and difficulties. He was not only her husband and the father of her son, but also the people's police. "I'll go home later." Feng Shanshan smiled. Indeed, when you understood a person, there would not be so much resentment and anger in your heart. You would have more room to accommodate love. Then she took the child from her senior brother's hands. Looking at her back as she left, Tang Yan's eyes couldn't help but turn red. When old Ching saw this, he immediately patted his shoulder and said, "I'll send junior sister off. Captain Tang, continue with the meeting. I'll be back soon." "Thank you. Be careful. Junior sister is a good woman. Captain Tang, you have to cherish her." Old Ching had seen all kinds of things, but this was the first time he had seen such a sensible person. "I'll be back soon." Tang Yen put away his emotions because he had to come up with a plan to arrest Feng Chang as soon as possible. Only then could he go home and sleep in peace. Not far from the door, old Ching caught up with Feng Shanshan. He drove his car and sent Feng Shanshan home. "Junior sister, I'm sorry. As a police officer, I'm quite helpless." Captain Tang went out to the field at 3 in the morning. He was undercover for the whole day today. He only ate a normal meal during the meeting. "I don't blame him," Feng Shanshan said. She knew that as long as Tang Yen was at home, he would be a dedicated husband. In the middle of the night, when her son was hungry and crying, as long as he heard it, he would definitely be the one to get up. After this case is over, I hope the higher-ups can give Captain Tang a good vacation. As long as Tang Yen could rest normally, Feng Shanshan would be satisfied. She did not necessarily need a vacation. However, on the way back, Mu Chichi called from the Banyan courtyard. Her tone was very urgent. "Feng Shanshan, is that you?" "Of course it's me. Who else could it be?" On the other end of the phone, Mu Chichi suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. "I thought you were killed in the explosion. Aren't you at home?" "What happened?" "Your house exploded. Now the firefighters are here." "Where are you?" Feng Shanshan thought of the explosion that Mu Chichi mentioned and immediately felt a chill run down her spine. If she hadn't brought her son out to see Tang Yen, perhaps by now, "I'm on my way back. I brought my child to the police station to deliver supper. Come back quickly and call Captain Tang." After saying that, Mu Chichi hung up. Feng Shanshan put down her phone and quickly looked at old Chen. "Senior brother Ching, I might have to turn around and go back to the police station. Something happened at my house." When old Ching heard that, his brows furrowed, but he reacted quickly and immediately turned around. Feng Chang had actually sent a copy of the gunpowder that Tang Yen had found during the day to Tang Yan's house. A moment later, Tang Yen saw old Ching and old Ching turn around and frown. "Chichi called just now and said that there was an explosion at home." Chapter 970. There was no need to think about it. This was Feng Chang's revenge, or rather, a warning. After Tang Yen heard that, he hugged Feng Shanshan and his son tightly. "Fortunately, you came to deliver supper." "Fortunately, it's all thanks to Aunt Sheng's guidance this morning. I didn't believe that Xiao Qi was my benefactor before, but now I do." Tang Yen hugged her and thought of how Feng Chang had gone in and out several times today to transport that thing. Therefore, it was definitely not only his family that had been given explosives. No one had thought that this bandit would be so cruel. "Old Ching, take the photo to the traffic control department immediately and get the surveillance footage of Feng Chang's activities. I was afraid of alerting the enemy during the day, so I couldn't follow him. Call me as soon as you have any news. The rest of you follow me to the police station." However, the location of this field trip was a little special. It was his own home. He had promised to go home and rest at night, but he didn't expect it to be in such a way. Also, the Song family might have been sent this thing. "Two of you go and confirm it." No one could predict how crazy Feng Chang was. Your speed would never be able to keep up with his movements. At 9 o'clock at night, the servants of the Song family were boiling water in the kitchen. After someone came to clean the pipes during the day, she kept feeling that there was a strange smell in the kitchen, but after searching around she didn't find anything suspicious. "Auntie, the water I asked for isn't ready yet?" Song Boji, who was wearing his home clothes, walked downstairs with his hands in his pockets. When the servant saw it, she immediately smiled and said, "Young master, it's done." "All right, you can get off work now," Song Boji said as he walked toward the stove. The servant took off her apron and was about to get off work when she heard the doorbell ring. The helper quickly went to open the door and saw 2 police officers standing in front of her. "Officers, what can I do for you? Did any strange people come to your house today, or did you receive any strange packages?" the police asked. "Other than the plumber, no other strangers have come in," the servant answered after thinking for a while. "Where did he move? Can you bring us there to have a look?" After hearing the police's words, the servant turned to look at Song Boji awkwardly. Song Boji held his coffee cup and looked very relaxed. "They only evacuated at noon and now they're back to protect us. Song Boji, don't be so cheeky with me. Now that Feng Chang has sent explosives to his enemies, if you don't want to be torn to pieces, you'd better cooperate and put away your young master heirs. We're very busy too." The 2 policemen did not give Song Boji any face. After saying that, they were about to force their way into the Song family's home, but they were stopped by Song Boji. "Even if you are the police, you can't trespass on private property, right? Feng Chang didn't send anything here. You can go back." The 2 policemen looked at each other. They really couldn't stand Song Boji's ignorance. "All right, we've already been here, but you're the one who didn't cooperate. If something happens, don't blame us for not reminding you." After that, the 2 of them closed the door. Song Boji smiled coldly and leaned against the door frame to drink his coffee. However, before the 2 policemen could walk far, they heard a loud bang. They turned around and saw that the entire villa had been engulfed in a sea of fire. Although the father and son of the Song family deserved it, as a policeman, saving lives and helping the wounded was their mission. Therefore, they called the ambulance while running to the fire. 8 o'clock in the evening. Tang Yen brought the group of people to his home. However, the small villa that was originally in good condition had now turned into ruins. The fire brigade had already extinguished the fire, so the police were going to start an investigation immediately. Taking this opportunity, Tang Yen sent Feng Shanshan to the banyan courtyard. When Mu Chichi saw Feng Shanshan's face, her eyes turned red. "Do you know how scared I was when I heard the loud noise? I had a premonition that something had happened down there. I brought the child to the branch office to deliver supper to Tang Yen." Feng Shanshan reached out and hugged Mu Chichi. "To be precise, it was Auntie's words that enlightened me and saved us." Feng Shanshan turned her gaze to Mama Sheng. "This is your own blessing," Mama Sheng replied as she hugged the child. "I might have to trouble Auntie to take in my wife and child tonight. It's a mess outside now. I have to go out and clean up the mess first." "It's no trouble at all. Just stay." Mama Sheng liked lively scenes. Moreover, Feng Shanshan's child was so cute that she could hug him. "Where's Xiao Sheng? Hasn't he gone home yet?" Tang Yen asked Mu Chichi before leaving. Since Feng Chang was his enemy, Xing Xiao should also be one of his targets. "He's still in a meeting, but I've already called him. He's on the way back," Mu Chichi answered. Actually, according to normal times, Xing Xiao would only be home in half an hour. "Call him and tell him to do his best to investigate Zhongting's safety hazards. I received a call from my subordinate on the way here just now." The Song family was not spared. "What about the Song father and son? They've been sent to the hospital." After Tang Yen said that, he gave Feng Shanshan a few more instructions. Then he quickly disappeared from the entrance of the banyan courtyard. Mu Chichi had a premonition that tonight, there might be a life-and-death battle with Feng Chang. As for the Song father and son, it was best if they did not die. It would be better if they were half dead. On the other side, Xing Xiao had already received the news of the explosion while he was still in the meeting. Su Che rarely entered the door and interrupted his meeting on such occasions. The seriousness of the matter was obvious. Therefore, from the moment something happened to Tang Yan's family, Xing Xiao had already asked Su Che and all the employees of Zhongting to stop what they were doing and immediately conduct a comprehensive safety check. Feng Chang was a lunatic, so he had to retaliate in a crazy way. As of 8:30 p.m., Zhongting did not find anything unusual. Thinking about it, Feng Chang probably did not have time to deal with Zhongting. Of course, Xing Xiao did not leave out the Sheng family. On Huang Yao's side, Sheng Kai used the same method to completely eliminate the safety hazards with his subordinates. For now, everything was normal. It looked like tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. Fortunately, everything was fine at home. Sheng Xiao stayed in the office and did not get up to go home. In fact, when he was talking to the little one just now, he had already said that he was on the way. President, it's time to go. Suche, do you believe it? I have a feeling that Feng Chang will come here tonight. Sheng Xiao turned his head and said to Suche. Sheng Xiao turned his head and said to Suche, maybe I've been with the little one for too long, and I've been infected by her magical power. Chapter 971. Now there had been 2 explosions in Jianchuan, and one of them was the police's residence. When the chief found out, he flew into a rage and applied for a multi-department joint operation overnight just to arrest Feng Chang. While Tang Yen was returning to Jianchuan for a meeting, 4 plainclothes guards were arranged outside the billiard hall. As long as they found out about Feng Chang's movements, they would immediately report it. Not only that, but the police also decided to arrest Feng Chang after midnight to minimize the threat to the innocent people. However, Feng Chang had created so many big cases. He already knew that the police would definitely do their best to arrest him this time. However, he had blown up Tang Yan's home and the Song family's home. It was worth it, but he still wanted to blow up Zhongting's building. Xing Xiao was right. Feng Chang's final destination was Zhongting. Relying on his familiarity with the surrounding terrain, he had already left the billiard hall with the guests when night fell. At this moment he was no longer in the billiard hall. He had not been able to see through Tang Yan's disguise for the whole day, but the few plainclothes policemen were too lousy. They let him know that his hiding place had been exposed. A bunch of idiots. You want to catch me? No way. At this moment, Feng Chang had transformed into a hunchbacked old man who was obsessed with walking his bird and had blended into the police's line of sight. At the garbage recycling station not far away, the big guys that he had transported during the day were now hiding in the piles of garbage. Zhongting's security was very strict. This was the conclusion that Feng Chang had come to after lurking around for a few days. Tonight he wanted to put these big guys on each floor of Zhongting and wait until tomorrow morning to see the building collapse and human flesh flying everywhere. That scene would definitely be spectacular. He had carefully studied Zhongting's security system. The cameras covered almost all the areas except for one place, and that was the bathroom on each floor. In addition, he knew where Zhongting's surveillance system was located. At 10 o'clock in the evening, the people on the streets gradually thinned, and the slums also returned to peace. Tang Yin divided his men into 3 groups. One group surrounded the billiard hall, the other group was responsible for wearing plain clothes and going in to cause trouble, and the last group was to intercept the exits outside the billiard hall. When the time was up, Tang Yin gave the order to take action. A few plainclothes guards who pretended to cause trouble immediately entered the billiard hall to cause trouble for Brother Cheng. Who is the boss here? Come out. Did my brother get beaten up here today? A few plainclothes officers aggressively entered the billiard hall. Brother Cheng immediately stood up from the cashier and walked in front of them. What's all this fuss about? How dare you cause trouble at Brother Cheng's place? My brother was beaten. Both sides began to push and shove. You want to fight? The 2 sides quickly got into a physical conflict. 2 of the plainclothes even rushed into the billiard hall, but they did not find any trace of Feng Chang. Taking advantage of the chaos, one of the policemen carefully searched all the rooms in the billiard hall, including the room where the gunpowder was hidden. However, he did not find Feng Chang. Then the young policeman sent a message to Tang Yen. Captain Tang, something's not right. Feng Chang has already run away. Capture Cheng Zhizhong for interrogation, Tang Yen ordered immediately. Then a few plainclothes officers took out their IDs and held Cheng Zhizhong. It's a cop. Where did Feng Chang go? Old Cheng took the lead and punched Cheng Zhizhong in the stomach. Do policemen like to hit people? Cheng Zhizhong spat disdainfully. To tell you the truth, you're too inexperienced to catch Big Brother. You just left with the guess. What are you policemen doing? Can't you tell? Besides, you can't catch up to him at all. He's gone to do something big. Interrogating Cheng Zhizhong at this time would definitely not yield any results. Tang Yin took a deep breath and took out his phone. At the same time he said to old Cheng, bring him back to the station. Then he dialed Xing Zhao's number. Xiao Xing, are you home? I'm still in Zhongting. Xing Xiao sat in the dark office and answered in a low voice, but Feng Chang is here too. He's hacking into our security system now. I'm watching a good show. I'll be right there. Zhongting's security system was personally modified by a professional American security team. It was divided into two parts. The daily control room was on the 3rd floor underground, while the main system was on the 12th floor. Feng Chang thought that he had found Zhongting's weakness, but he did not expect that his every move was under Xing Zhao's surveillance. After cutting off all the alarm systems, Feng Chang began to move things from the truck downstairs to Zhongting's corridor like a diligent bee. There was a small medicine bag every 2 floors and it was placed in the firebox. If one did not pay attention, no one would be able to discover it. And every time he went to a floor, Su Che would follow behind him and take away the explosives he had put down. This old man was really energetic. Xing Xiao did not even see how he opened the door of the surveillance room. He really had some tricks up his sleeve. Xing Xiao was watching the old man work diligently when the little one called. "It's 10 o'clock. You're not home yet. Aren't you going home tonight?" "I have to go back, but I have to do my best to investigate Zhongting's security problems tonight, so it's a waste of time." "You sleep first." Mu Qiqi was silent for a few seconds. She seemed to sigh and said again, "I know you're lying to me. Zhongting's employees have already gotten off work." Xing Xiao facepalmed. He had almost forgotten that the traitor, the secretary, was in the office. Actually, you don't have to lie to me. I won't stop you from going out to do things. Just tell me when you can go home." Mu Qiqi's voice was very calm. "Although I don't know what kind of situation you're in at Zhongting, I hope you can tell me the truth no matter what." 2 hours. Look at the time. I'll definitely go home." With that, Xing Xiao hung up. Feng Chang suddenly raised his head and seemed to have noticed the surveillance cameras that were still working. He seemed to have understood something. He did not go to the next floor but quickly entered the office area. Su Che quickly followed, but Feng Chang, who was hiding behind the door, discovered him. The two of them were in the dark, but they started fighting. Feng Chang was no match for Su Che, but he was extremely cunning. Knowing that he could not win, he immediately hid under the desk. Tang Yin also rushed to Zhongting and called Xing Xiao again. The entire building was pitch black. Where was Xing Xiao now? "Captain Tang, you're here too. The surveillance room on the 12th floor. The password is 1224. After you enter, restart the security system and you'll be able to see where Feng Chang is." "How are you now?" "I'm at the top floor. Su Che is chasing after Feng Chang. Tell Su Che to be careful. Feng Chang might be carrying a homemade weapon." With that, Tang Yin hung up the phone, pulled out his gun and entered the building. Chapter 972. Su Che chased after Feng Chang, but Feng Chang was too cunning. He used all his previous experience in the underworld, causing Su Che to suffer a lot. Su Che decided to use a little trick. He pretended not to be able to find Feng Chang and turned to walk toward the corridor. He pretended to be upstairs, but in fact he was hiding at the corner of the stairs. However, he did not expect Tang Yin to restart the security system, and the entire building of Zhongting was lit up. Su Che looked forward and saw that Feng Chang was already holding a gun. He was one step ahead of him and aimed it at his head. "Kid, let's see if your hand or my gun is faster. Take me to Xing Xiao." Su Che raised his hand and was about to walk down the stairs, but Feng Chang gestured for him not to move. "Just take the stairs." Feng Chang was extremely cautious. He knew that if he took the elevator he might be set up, so he asked Su Che to take the stairs. "Behave yourself. Don't turn around. Otherwise I'll shoot you in the head." Su Che looked at Feng Chang from the corner of his eyes. At the moment he had no choice but to walk step by step toward the top floor. Xing Xiao had already seen the scene of Feng Chang pointing a gun at Su Che from the surveillance cameras. At that moment, Tang Yin had already arrived at his office. Tang Yin put away his gun and walked to Xing Zhao's side. "Su Che has been kidnapped. Feng Chang should be coming up to the top floor to see me. I'll go from behind and stop him," Tang Yin said as he looked at the surveillance cameras. He paid attention to the number of floors and said to Xing Xiao, "Let's keep talking. Feng Chang is very wary. When you go downstairs or block him, there will definitely be footsteps. I'll go down with you and confuse him. There are 8 elevators in Zhongting. I'll press the button to stop on each floor and disturb Feng Chang. You act according to the situation." "Okay." Tang Yin saw Xing Xiao follow him out of the office and the two of them split up. At that moment, Su Che and Feng Chang were still 12 floors away from the top floor. With their speed, Tang Yin went down to the 8th floor and waited at the entrance of the corridor. However, perhaps because he sensed that there would be a lot of danger after going up, Feng Chang suddenly changed his mind and asked Su Che, "Did you bring your phone?" "Yes," Su Che answered calmly. Take it out and call your big CEO. Tell him where we are and ask him to come down and pick you up. We'll wait for him here." Feng Chang leaned against the wall and did not move. He looked up and down, occupying the most advantageous position. Su Che put down his right hand and took out his phone from his pocket. Then he dialed Xing Zhao's number in front of Feng Chang. "Hello? Su Che? President, I was kidnapped by Feng Chang. I'm on the 27th floor now. Feng Chang wants to see you," Su Che said calmly to Xing Zhao on the other end of the phone. "I'll be right there." With that, Xing Zhao hung up. "Are you satisfied now?" Su Che hung up the phone and put it back into his pocket. "What do you want?" "Settle the score with Shen Mei." "She's my daughter," Feng Chang said coldly. "Then you should go to the police station. Don't think that I don't know that the person who provided the police with the clues is Zhongting's little bride," Feng Chang said with a gangster's expression. "Anyone who provokes me won't have an easy time." Soon the sound of someone coming down the stairs could be heard. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. However, Feng Chang was very satisfied. His eyes flickered with pride. "What big shot of Jianchuan? You still have to listen to my orders obediently. Don't worry. In a while, I'll send the two of you to hell." Behind the two of them, Tang Yen had already quietly peeked his head out. However, the position that Feng Chang occupied was too advantageous to him. Therefore, Tang Yen could not show himself, let alone approach. A moment later, Xing Zhao, who was wearing a windbreaker, walked down the stairs. When he saw such a scene, he did not panic at all. "Raise your hands." When Feng Chang saw Xing Zhao, he shouted sternly, "Otherwise I'll make your little assistant's brain explode. You've been hiding for so many days. I thought you were going to fly a plane and crash it into Zhongting's building. I didn't expect you to be so shabby." Xing Zhao stood beside Su Che, but he did not raise his hand. "Cut the crap. Since you're going to shoot in the end, why should I raise my hand?" Xing Zhao asked Feng Chang. "Don't think that I won't dare to shoot. Listen, the elevator outside has been opening and closing. Many police officers have come. At this moment they're searching for you everywhere. If you don't shoot and kill us, how are you going to break even?" Xing Zhao leaned against the armrest and asked Feng Chang. "Moreover, if you hesitate for one more second, the police will have a chance to find you." "Xing Zhao, don't lie to me. Do you think I don't know your tricks? You're not qualified to provoke me and make me lose my composure. Since you've tricked me down, you have to do something, right? Am I wrong? You don't plan to kill us? I told you my goal is your woman. As long as you hand over your woman, perhaps I can let you go." Feng Chang held the gun and walked between the two of them. "Then you'd better take my life. Be more direct," Xing Zhao answered Feng Chang without hesitation. Feng Chang was distracted by Xing Zhao and had already neglected the surveillance downstairs. At that moment, Xing Zhao suddenly kicked Su Che's foot. Feng Chang immediately roared, "Don't move. Do you still want your life?" At this critical moment, Tang Yen took a step up the stairs and fired a shot at Feng Chang's arm. He heard the sound of the gun falling to the ground. Feng Chang wanted to reach out to pick it up, but Xing Zhao kicked him downstairs. Feng Chang was shocked. He turned around and wanted to escape, but Tang Yen pounced on him and pressed him to the ground. Then Tang Yen took out the shackles from his pants pocket and cuffed Feng Chang. "I'll bring you to justice now, you murderous demon. Officer Tang, do you think you've won?" With that, Feng Chang took out a switch from his pocket. They heard a beep and were shocked. They should have known that this old thing had something hidden on him. At that moment, it was 11:30 p.m. There was still half an hour before Xing Zhao's return time. Mu Qiqi looked at the time anxiously as she paced back and forth in the living room until Su Che called. He told her that Xing Zhao, Tang Yen, and herself were all in the hospital. When Mu Qiqi heard this, her expression changed. She quickly begged Papa Sheng. "Dad, send us to the hospital. Xiao Xiao is in the hospital." Seeing that Mu Qiqi was about to cry, Papa Sheng could not refuse. "Let's go. Go upstairs and get dressed first." Mu Qiqi was so anxious that her clothes were in a mess. Then she quickly went downstairs. Feng Shanshan handed the child to Mama Sheng and followed her to the hospital. The feelings of the two women were complicated. Chapter 973. Soon the two of them were sent to the hospital. It was fine for Feng Shanshan. After all, she had already given birth and her body was light. However, Mu Qiqi was heavy to begin with. She had to force herself to walk, which scared Papa Sheng. "Xiao Qi, slow down." Mu Qiqi looked for the emergency department and the emergency ward. Finally, she saw the three men in the doctor's office. At that moment, The doctor was bandaging the wound on the back of Xing Zhao's hand. Tang Yin and Su Che had also suffered some minor injuries, but none of them were serious. However, Feng Chang had exploded on the spot. His body was a bloody mess. At the moment of the explosion, Tang Yin had thrown Feng Chang down the stairs. Therefore, although there had been an explosion, the three of them were not affected. "Sob, I finally found you." Mu Qiqi immediately pounced on him. Her body went limp and she almost knelt in front of Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao quickly used his injured hand to catch her. "Why are you in such a hurry? We're already in the hospital. How can I not be anxious?" Mu Qiqi held her stomach and started crying. "I thought you were sent to the operating theater and were being resuscitated." Xing Xiao turned to look at Su Che. Su Che turned to look at the door. He was also very innocent, okay? Because his young madam did not give him a chance to say the next sentence. "This is the only injury." Xing Xiao freed one of his hands to show her. "Hurry up and get up. You're so heavy." Mu Qiqi seemed worried. She checked her body again and nodded. "It's fine. It's really fine." It turned out that when things were in chaos they would cry like a child. Thinking of this, Xing Xiao hugged her and walked out of the doctor's office. "Let's go home, but your injury?" Feng Shanshan stood at the door. Seeing that they could still talk and laugh, she felt that this was a dream. Tang Yin turned around and saw Feng Shanshan behind him. He smiled at her forcefully and gestured to her that his foot was only slightly injured. However, Feng Shanshan still pounced on him and hit and scolded him. Wasn't this pair a little too mushy? Now Su Che was the only one left in the office. The doctor on duty crossed his arms and looked at him. "How old are you? Why are you fighting like those two just now? Don't your parents care?" Su Che looked around and confirmed that the doctor was talking about him. Then he took out his identification and handed it to the doctor. When the female doctor saw this, she immediately felt a little embarrassed. "I couldn't tell at all. You're really good at retaining your youthful looks. You have a girlfriend coming to pick you up too?" Su Che shook his head and handed his hand to the doctor. "Bandage it for me." "Okay." The female doctor asked Su Che to sit down. After the wounds were bandaged, the few of them left the hospital. Because Tang Yin still had to deal with the aftermath, he handed Feng Shanshan over to Mu Qiqi and Mu Qiqi. "I'll come pick them up tomorrow morning." There were tears in Feng Shanshan's eyes. She quickly said, "I'll go with you. The baby will look for you when he's hungry. Be obedient." Now that Feng Chang is dead, the danger has been resolved. Tang Yin insisted on not letting her follow. Feng Shanshan had no choice but to give up. It was just that she might not be able to see this man again tonight. Zhongting exploded and Feng Chang died. The police were doing further work to deal with the aftermath. Of course, because Zhongting had surveillance cameras, Feng Chang's death could be directly handed over to the police station to be summarized and the case could be closed. Such a ruthless bandit is simply perverted. He caused so much trouble but he ended up without a corpse left. He really deserved it. Officer Long cursed as he collected Feng Chang's body tissues. "How many days have we not slept because of him? Clean up early and restore this place to its original state. Zhongting's employees still have to work tomorrow. Do you have the cheek to let the female employees come in and see Feng Chang's charred body tissues?" "It's better not to. I can't bear the responsibility of scaring those ladies." The police and the forensics team were working hard to clean up the scene. The explosives that Su Che had collected were all handed over to the police. "Captain Tang, let's talk in private. Why didn't you deal with the father and son from the Song family? How are they?" Tang Yin was busy. At this time, he had no time to care about the two of them. The father has done all sorts of bad things but he's actually safe and sound. On the other hand, his son, Song Buoji, had his right leg amputated. He'll have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Officer Long clicked his tongue. "That's quite a pity." Tang Yin sighed. Although he was a criminal police officer, he really hated the father and son from the Song family. Now that Feng Chang was dead, the Song family would not be so easily dealt with. If Feng Chang was captured alive, Song Jiang would not be able to escape sooner or later. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. The few of them returned from the hospital in a sorry state. As soon as they reached home, Xing Xiao said to his parents, "It's fine. It's just a minor injury. The police at Zhongting know how to deal with the aftermath. Don't worry." Mama Xing handed the child to Feng Shanshan and glared at him. "Who cares if you're dead or alive? Look at how scared you've scared Qiqi. Comfort her well." Xing Xiao smiled. He was handsome. Even though he was in a sorry state, it did not affect his heroic spirit. "Let's go back to the room." Before Mu Qiqi could recover from her fear, Xing Xiao had already brought her upstairs. After returning to the room, Xing Xiao took off his coat. Mu Qiqi immediately reacted. "I'll go to the bathroom to turn on the water for you." Xing Xiao reached out to stop her and pressed her shoulder. "There's no need. I'll go myself." "You can't touch." Before she could say the word water, Xing Xiao's kiss had already fallen. At first, he knew how to restrain his gentleness, but gradually, the desire in his heart was aroused. If Mu Qiqi was not pregnant, he might have already taken action. This place has become a lot bigger. After the passionate kiss, Xing Xiao hugged Mu Qiqi and teased her. "You're still in the mood to talk about this? What happened tonight? Why are you all injured? Where's Feng Chang?" Xing Xiao tidied up his shirt as he answered Mu Qiqi. "He's dead. He was blown to pieces. In the future he won't be able to cause trouble for us anymore." "Really?" Mu Qiqi was doubtful. "Are you lying to me? If there really was an explosion, you wouldn't have been able to escape unscathed. I'm really not lying to you this time." With that, Xing Xiao sat on the sofa and pulled the little thing onto his lap. "When I saw you crying just now, I felt that I wasn't fit to be your husband." "Nonsense." Mu Qiqi quickly covered his mouth. "There's no one in the world who loves me more than you do." The two of them hugged quietly for a while. Then Xing Xiao suddenly asked Mu Qiqi, "Your birthday is coming up. What's your wish this time?" Chapter 974. No matter how energetic Song Jiang is, it's impossible for him to cause trouble right after the explosion in the Song family. Besides, we have to investigate Feng Chang's matter. Song Jiang has to know how to restrain himself. Xing Xiao pointed at Mu Qiqi's nose and asked, "Do you understand?" Song Jiang brought this upon himself. He ruined both his son and daughter. If I were him, I would commit seppuku. This was just Mu Qiqi's one-sided thought. Song Jiang never thought so. Even if Song Buoji's right leg was gone this time, he still believed that on the road to revenge, how could there not be some sacrifices? A person like Song Jiang stirred up trouble in the name of revenge. For the sake of his own power and desire, he ignored human lives. He didn't even let go of his own children. I really don't believe that he will end up well. If you don't believe me, then don't believe me. You should at least let me take a bath first, right? After Mu Qiqi heard this, she got up from Xing Xiao's lap. Without Feng Chang, she should be able to sleep peacefully tonight. Jinshuan Hospital the next morning. Song Buoji had been unconscious on the bed after the amputation. He had only just woken up now. When he opened his eyes, the first person he saw was not his father, Song Jiang, but his sister, Song Qiaoji, who he had looked down on in the past. She was wearing a white coat and was making ward rounds with the surgeon. "Brother, you're awake?" Song Buoji opened his mouth, but he could not say anything. Song Qiaoji quickly put down the medical records and moistened his lips. Only then did Song Buoji feel that his throat had improved. Why can't I move?" Song Qiaoji stood up straight and saw that his right leg was empty. She did not know what to say. Song Buoji was very smart. Looking at her expression, he knew that things wouldn't be so simple. So, he used all his strength to prop up his head and saw his lower body. Then, he widened his eyes and fell to the ground, unable to accept what had happened. "My leg? Brother, don't be like this. Technology is so advanced now. You can still stand up and walk in the future just without your right leg." "Only the right leg is missing?" Song Buoji almost went crazy when he got an affirmative answer. "What's the difference between me and a cripple now? Brother, don't be like this." "Where's Dad? Where's Dad?" Song Buoji looked around. "I don't know, I haven't seen him, but I know he's fine." Song Qiaoji replied patiently. Feng Chang's matter is quite big now. Perhaps he went back to take charge of the overall situation. After Song Buoji heard this, his face was expressionless. He only sneered. "Go. Don't come to see me again. Big brother, you're the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family now. Why do you still have to call me big brother? Moreover, is there such a disabled big brother like me? I'm not your big brother. I've always looked down on you." "Don't flatter yourself." Song Qiaoji knew how strong Song Buoji's pride was, so she did not force him. She was an obstetrician and had come purely to know if there was anything she could help with. She knew very well that their father was a complete beast. However, seeing how uncomfortable Song Buoji was, Song Qiaoji could only sigh and walk out of Song Buoji's ward with the other doctors. Song Buoji could not accept the pain of losing his right leg, so he picked up the phone on the bedside table with difficulty and called Song Jiang. Due to the explosion, the screen of the phone was shattered. However, he called 3 times in a row, but Song Jiang did not pick up. On the last call, Song Jiang's urgent voice was heard. Son, you're awake? I'm awake. Where are you? I'm at home. Yashang Group is in a mess now. You're injured, so someone has to take charge of the overall situation, right? So, now that your son has lost his right leg, you can immediately go back to work as if nothing happened. Song Buji found it unbelievable. Otherwise, my 20 years of hard work will all be destroyed in one day. I'm not talking to you anymore. Have a good rest. With that, Song Jiang hung up. This was completely different from the father who usually cared about him. Song Buji even felt that what he had lost might not be his leg but Song Jiang's love. Yes, a son without a leg was like a broken chess piece. He was not as useful as before. But who gave him this? For a moment, Song Buji really wanted to call the police. He really wanted to die together with Song Jiang. However, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was not worth it. If he had to die, he should let that old man die by himself. That afternoon, the television news used 10 minutes to report on Feng Chang's arrest. In short, he had been blown into minced meat. However, Feng Chang was very involved, especially when he caused trouble in Zhongting. It was simply beyond the imagination of the audience. This person was not only cruel but also brainless. Zhongting also issued an announcement that there were no casualties in cooperating with the police to arrest Feng Chang. Moreover, Zhongting had also returned to normal operations. The police announced that they had solved the case, including the previous Lu Zhao case and the 2 subsequent explosions. However, it was a pity that the bureau chief did not manage to catch him alive and clean up Song Jiang. In the Jianchuan branch office, the bureau chief stood in front of his desk with his hands on his hips and said to Tang Yin, "You've suffered a lot in this operation to arrest Feng Chang. Your house and your newborn son are all waiting for you to settle down. I'll give you a week off." The people from the 9th Division aren't going to investigate further? If we follow Feng Chang's lead, we can follow the clues. It's only a matter of time before we find Song Jiang. Tang Yin felt indignant. After all, Feng Chang was someone the Song family had provoked. No one could guarantee that Song Jiang would be obedient. The people from the 9th Division know their limits. You just need to take your leave. The director waved his hand. He couldn't care less about what would happen later. The problem of the Song family couldn't be removed overnight. Yes, chief. Tang Yin bowed to the bureau chief and was about to leave the office. However, when he reached the door, he was stopped by the bureau chief. Tang Yin, this time, the higher-ups intend to promote someone to be the deputy bureau chief. I have high hopes for you. You're already in your 30s. Leave the front lines to the newcomers. It's time for you to sit at the back and be the commander. Your son has just been born. You have to think about your son. If it were in the past, Tang Yin would definitely refuse. He was not suitable for officialdom. Moreover, he liked to investigate cases freely on the front lines. However, this time was different. Thank you for your trust, Chief. Chapter 975. He had heard of Lin Muhan. Whether he was a good seedling or not, they would know once they met. In the afternoon, Tang Yin went to the banyan courtyard to pick up Feng Shanshan and her son. It was just that their nest had been blown into a terrible state. So, Tang Yin decided to bring Feng Shanshan and his son to stay at Professor Tang's house for a few days. When the house was repaired, he would bring his wife and son back to their place. Why are you leaving? Even if there are 2 more people, the banyan courtyard can still accommodate them. Mama Xing asked the family of 3 to stay. She felt that the more people there were, the livelier it would be, and it would be more convenient for Fifth Aunt to take care of them. However, Feng Shanshan and her husband still knew their limits. They were already disturbing enough, and it was not appropriate for them to stay any longer. Auntie, thank you very much for this period of time. However, I'm really sorry to disturb you any longer. Feng Shanshan hugged the child and said to Mama Xing apologetically, "We'll visit you often in the future." If that's the case, then all right. Mama Xing did not continue to insist and sent the family of 3 out of the banyan courtyard. Tang Yin held his son in one hand and his wife in the other. The 3 of them did not have any luggage. Following me, you've really suffered. I don't think this is suffering. Feng Shanshan hugged his arm and smiled. In the past, when I was alone, I only wanted freedom. I felt that relationships and family were burdens. But now, with you and a child, I can understand how precious it is for a family to be safe and happy together. Tang Yin hugged his son with one hand and her with the other. So, I want to tell you a piece of good news. The director is going to make me the deputy director. I want to give you and your son a more stable life. I want to hire a nanny to help you, so I agreed. When our son is a little older, I hope that you will be able to complete your dreams and things that you haven't completed in the past. I don't want you to give up your life just to take care of the child and me. Feng Shanshan's eyes turned red. Should I congratulate you in advance? Deputy Commissioner Tang. Fool. The family of 3 went to Professor Tang's house. He had just returned home after being hospitalized for surgery. However, being able to see his nephew's happiness, Professor Tang felt that he had no regrets in this life. 3 days after Feng Chang's case, Jianchuan gradually returned to peace. Because of Feng Chang, the Song family was now in a state of disunity. Even if Song Jiang wanted to forcefully turn things around with the pressure from the Lu family, he still felt that it was extremely difficult. After playing for so long, he did not get anything. Instead, he lost his children and even damaged the foundation of Yashang Group. Just thinking about it, Song Jiang also felt uncomfortable. At this moment, Song Buozhi had been lying in the hospital for 3 days, but as his father, he did not dare to look at him. He understood his son's character, but there was nothing he could do now. Song Buozhi was already crippled. To him he was a burden. He did not need his crippled son now because it would hinder him from seeking revenge on the Shen family. Although it was said to be revenge, the Shen family did not show up from the beginning to the end. Because Xing Xiao alone could stop an entire army. According to the current decline of the Song family, if they continued to fight with Xing Xiao, the Song family might not last until the beginning of next year. Therefore he decided to continue following up on Deputy Liang. After all, he had done so much for Deputy Liang. As for Yashang Group, there was also the American finance industry. Now that Song Buozhi was in such a situation, he planned to find a professional to supervise and manage the funds in order to preserve his last bit of strength in order to fight Xing Xiao. However, what Song Jiang did not expect was that Song Buozhi had disappeared from the hospital. It was the nurse who found out that he was missing and called him to confirm his whereabouts. It was only then that Song Jiang realized that Song Buozhi had been planning to escape for the past 3 days. Song Jiang went to the hospital to go through the procedures and bumped into Song Qiaoji. When the father and daughter met again, they were enemies. Originally, Song Qiaoji had nothing to say to Song Jiang. However, just as the two of them brushed past each other, Song Jiang suddenly pulled her back. Did you hide your brother? Song Qiaoji pushed Song Jiang's hand away and replied, I always thought that even if you didn't care about us daughters, you would always care about my brother, your son. However, from the fact that you didn't come once during the 4 days he was hospitalized, I understand that his position in your heart is actually similar to mine. He's just a pawn. He knows it in his heart, so he made his own choice. Since you don't care about his life or death, why are you still putting on an act? Mr. Song, take care. After saying that, Song Qiaoji bypassed Song Jiang without hesitation. Song Buozhi would definitely return, but at that time he would definitely not be a pawn in Song Jiang's hands. As Xing Xiao had expected, the Song family didn't even have time to deal with him now. It was impossible for them to cause any new trouble. Even if Song Jiang had the energy, he didn't have the ability. Yashang Group was now being suppressed by the old education industry in Jianchuan. As for Song Buozhi, just like the rumors, he disappeared from Jianchuan. He didn't care about the life and death of Yashang Group at all. As a result, Yashang Group announced its delisting, and a new team took over the subsequent operations. This indirectly explains Song Jiang's current predicament. On the other side, Tang Yan's promotion was put on the agenda. Actually, according to his qualifications, he was more than qualified to be the deputy chief. It was just that he had always been arrogant and unruly. Now that he had a wife and child, he put away his thoughts of being a prodigal son and wanted to give his wife and child the best family atmosphere. A month later, the trainee police officers had to report to the police station. The chief asked him to guide the newcomers. He wasn't interested in anything else, but he wanted to have a good look at Lin Mu-an. Ever since Feng Chang and Song Jiang stopped causing trouble, life seemed to have suddenly returned to its former calm. Mu Qiqi was still at home, focused on giving birth. In order to spend more time with the little one, Xing Xiao not only threw away his work at Huangyao, but also gave half of Zhongting's work to Xin Jianchuan. Xin Jianchuan was such a considerate father-in-law. Knowing that his daughter couldn't leave her son-in-law, he took the initiative to volunteer. After passing the board of directors' resolution, he became one of the vice presidents of Zhongting. Therefore, Xing Xiao only worked half a day now. The rest of the time he could accompany Mu Qiqi at home to tell stories, do prenatal education, and even pick out clothes for the child and decorate the baby's room. Sometimes even he himself would be in a daze. He had never thought that he would have such a day when he would do things himself. He was so meticulous that he massaged the little one's feet and went to the bathroom to put on a non-slip mat. If outsiders knew that Xing Xiao, who was so famous in Jianchuan, was a slave to his wife at home, who knew how many people would be shocked? Thinking about it, Xing Xiao sighed, but he still took the little one's favorite fruit upstairs. Chapter 976. When Mu Qiqi was 9 months pregnant, she rarely went out. However, she would still go with Xing Xiao to some training courses for new parents. However, it was very strange. Mu Qiqi was clearly a medical student, but when it came to parenting, she could embody the characteristics of a science student. Xing Xiao could learn many things in one go, but she always had to learn it several times. Was she really stupider than Xing Xiao? Whether it was dressing the child, giving the child diapers, or even bathing the child, she could embody the clumsiness of a science student. Why can't I learn it? Xing Xiao helped her sit down. When the child is born, there's no room for you to hold it. Mom and fifth aunt at home, second aunt and old master Shin at the Shin family, and a lot of people from the Xing family. Do you think you can hold the child? If I can't hold my child, what's the point of giving birth? Sit well and wait for your confinement. What you're saying is that everyone will like the child and won't care about me. Xing Xiao had a deep understanding of a woman in the late stages of pregnancy. If you didn't pay attention to your words, you might be misinterpreted by this thing just like now. What I mean is that everyone will help you share the burden. You're only in your early 20s. You have to recover and recuperate well. That's more like it. Mu Qiqi was satisfied. She sat on the sofa and watched Xing Xiao quickly revise and dress the baby again. Recently, the baby had been moving very fast. She didn't know if it was because fifth aunt had fed it too much, but Mu Qiqi had a feeling that the naughty child would come out early before the due date. With the careful care of her family, she was naturally not worried that no one would take care of the baby after it was born. She was just simply afraid of giving birth, whether it was a natural birth or a cesarean section. Even if it was painless now, it would still be hell a month after giving birth. Although when she was dissecting, her hand raised the knife and cut open the belly of others, it was just a matter of an instant, but the feeling of the object lying in the hospital bed, that kind of feeling, made her continuously begin to start to feel cold. Back then she was the one who insisted on having the baby because Xing Xiao was in his early 30s. The children of his age were already in primary school. If she really waited until she was 26, wouldn't Master Xiao be an old man? The two of them had been together for so many years, and he had always been the one doing everything for her behind the scenes. Other than making some small things, she had never done anything for him, so this child was her ultimate gift. It was snowing in Jianchuan when he returned home at night. Mu Qiqi looked at the snowflakes outside in disbelief. After returning home, she drank the chicken soup that fifth aunt had made. Not long after lying down, she felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao, it hurts. It hurts for a while. The baby should be born early. Xing Xiao had just sat down when he heard her shout. He quickly got up. I'll contact the hospital right away. Mu Qiqi nodded repeatedly. Xing Xiao quickly went downstairs and told Papa Sheng to drive. The whole family changed their clothes and took their things. Then they hurriedly sent the little one to the hospital. Because it was her first labor, the labor pain lasted for a long time. Therefore, after Mu Qiqi entered the hospital, the pain continued for several hours. However, because she was accompanied by the whole family and Xing Xiao was by her side, Mu Qiqi felt that it was not that difficult to endure. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Mu Qiqi's labor pain was shortened to about 5 minutes. After the midwife checked, she said to Mama Sheng and the others, now we'll send the patient to the delivery room. Although family members can accompany her, in order not to cause the patient to be nervous, only one of you can stay with her. It's best if it's the husband. As the pain intensified, Mu Qiqi knew that the baby was about to come out. So, she reminded herself to conserve her strength. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for her to give birth naturally. Eighth brother, accompany Xiaoqi inside. She's risking her life for you, Mama Xing said as she patted Xing Xiao's shoulder. Xing Xiao was not wearing a suit and leather shoes at the moment. Because he was in a hurry, he was only wearing a dark blue turtleneck sweater. Hearing the little one's cries in the delivery room, his heart tightened. He quickly went to do a sterile treatment and then followed the nurse into the delivery room. Because of the pain, Mu Qiqi's body was already covered in layers of sweat. Xing Xiao sat beside Mu Qiqi and wrapped his arm around her head. It really hurts. Just bite my arm. Sob, I don't want you to see me so ugly here. Mu Qiqi was a little resistant. I've seen all your ugly looks. Only this time you're not ugly at all, Xing Xiao said in a low voice. Do you want to know when I fell in love with you? Mu Qiqi's attention was indeed attracted by this topic. The first time in the hospital in the town you took off my pants. Do you remember? At that time I was injured and unconscious. I saw you in my half-asleep state. I thought to myself that this thing's guts were really fat. From then on I remembered you. When I heard that you were sold by my uncle, my first reaction was that you touched my body so you were mine. No one could sell my things. After that I just fell deeper and deeper. After Muchichi heard this, she completely forgot to record the frequency of the labor pain. She quickly asked, "Then when I had a crush on you, did you already like me? What do you think? You're too cunning." Muchichi endured the pain and glared at him. "But I'm just a little girl. Being abandoned and schemed against doesn't suit you at all. Why do you like me? This? Who knows? Liking is liking. I never go against my heart." Sheng Xiao played with her sweaty hair. "After I give birth to the baby next year, will you take me skiing abroad and take me to see the aurora? As long as you want to go, I'll accompany you wherever you go." It had been a long time since the doctors and nurses in the delivery room had seen such a warm scene. Of course, they also knew who the person who was giving birth was, and who the person accompanying the delivery was. Outside the delivery room, Mama Sheng and the others paced back and forth. "Why hasn't she given birth yet? She's been in there for 2 hours. Madam, don't worry. 8th brother is inside. He'll take care of Xiaoqi's emotions," Papa Sheng quickly comforted. "You men don't understand." Mama Sheng sat on the chair nervously and sighed. "Poor Xiaoqi, Madam, don't worry. Our whole family is with Xiaoqi." How could Mama Sheng listen to her now? Although 8th brother was inside, she knew how dangerous it was for women to give birth. Half an hour later, Mu Chichi and Xing Zhao's first baby was finally born. Chapter 977. Mu Chichi exhausted all her strength and lay on the bed. The moment the child was born, she felt as if her soul was about to leave her body. Her entire person had sublimated. She was a mother. The man beside her held Mu Chichi's hand tightly. When he knew that the child was born, he did not go to see the child immediately. He only said in Mu Chichi's ear, "In the future, don't even think about having another child. I won't allow it. We just need a daughter. Also, congratulations, little one. You're a mother now." Mu Chichi tilted her head to look at Sheng Xiao. She was extremely tired, but she could clearly see that the man's eyes were red. It was his sincere love for her. "Congratulations, Mr. Sheng. You're a father now. Do you want to hug the child?" After the doctor was done with the baby, he asked the nurse to wrap her up. "No need. Please carry her out. I just want to accompany my big baby now." Sheng Xiao lowered his head and kissed Mu Chichi's head. "There's sweat, there's a smell. I don't mind. I'll never mind." Therefore, neither of them had seen their daughter for the first time. The nurse carried the baby out of the delivery room. The first person to lean on was naturally Mama Sheng. "Oh, my little darling. I'm your grandma." The nurse was amused by Mama Sheng's expression and quickly said, "The baby is very healthy. He cries very loudly. It's been a long time since I've seen such a beautiful baby. Although he was born prematurely, he doesn't lose out to full-term babies at all." "Thank you, nurse. How's the child's mother?" "Don't worry. She's very brave and in good condition. She's just too tired." The nurse smiled and turned to return to the delivery room. Not long after, Mu Chichi was sent out of the delivery room. Mama Sheng quickly went up and looked at Mu Chichi with heartache. "Xiaoqi, rest well. It's been hard on you." Mu Chichi smiled tiredly and then lost consciousness. Sheng Xiao followed her the entire time and did not close his eyes. It was as if that little thing would always occupy the most place in his heart. No one could put anything else in it. 8th brother, Xiaoqi is asleep. Hurry up and see your daughter." Sheng Xiao sat by the bed and ignored Mama Sheng's shouts. He could not forget the entire process of the little thing giving birth. "Mom, let me accompany her quietly for a while." Mama Sheng could understand her son's feelings for Xiaoqi, so she said, "Okay, I'll take the baby out first. However, the baby needs to be fed later." The sky soon brightened. It was a night worth remembering for the Sheng family. After that, the old men of the Sheng and Shen families were quickly informed about Mu Chichi's labor. The two old men were overjoyed. Even though old Sheng was still sick, he couldn't care less. He asked Sheng Kai to drive him to the hospital. Mu Chichi woke up after sleeping for 2 hours. She had recovered a lot, but all kinds of postpartum pain came as expected. She only saw her and Xiao Xiao's daughter 2 hours later. Because she needed to feed him, she carefully held him in her arms. At this time, Mama Sheng leaned her arm against her. "The child has tortured you for so long. Eighth brother is so angry that he still refuses to hold his daughter. Mommy, maybe Xiao Xiao is still not used to the change of identity. He's my son. I know him better than anyone. In his heart, even if his daughter is born, he will still love you the most, Mama Xing said with a smile. By the way, who will name the baby? Xiao Xiao said before that he would let my grandfather do it. Mu Qiqi lowered her head and looked at the little one who was drinking milk. She revealed a very different smile. It seems that you can't be called Xing Badian. A moment later, Xing Xiao returned from the bathroom and saw that the little one was breastfeeding. He asked fifth aunt if the chicken soup for Mu Qiqi's body had been heated up. Mu Qiqi glanced at the baby and then at Xing Xiao. Xiao Xiao. Hold your daughter. I want to see you hold your daughter. Xing Xiao glanced at her and sighed. Then he walked to her side and took the little girl in the swaddling clothes. Mu Qiqi's eyes turned red when she saw this scene. I finally got what I wanted. Are you hungry? Xing Xiao was holding his daughter in his arms, but he was still worried about her. I'm not hungry. Mu Qiqi felt warm but helpless. Was this man really necessary? Soon, the two old men rushed over, and the ward became lively all of a sudden. Where is my great-granddaughter? Let me see. Let me go first, let me go first. The two old men started arguing. At this moment, Mu Qiqi coughed softly. The group of people were naturally chased out of the ward. At the door of the room, Xin Jianchuan poked his head out. When everyone was fighting to see the child as a father, the first thing he thought of was his daughter. Daddy, are you all right? Xin Jianchuan touched her palm and was relieved when he found that it was warm. Don't worry, I'm fine. Don't you know what your son-in-law is like? Mu Qiqi gestured at the man beside her with her chin. If he didn't dote on you so much, I wouldn't have agreed to you having a child at such a young age. Xin Jianchuan snorted. If your mommy was still here, she would be gratified to see this scene, wouldn't she? Daddy, I'm already a grandfather. I can't stand it if you're like this. Xin Jianchuan patted the back of Mu Qiqi's hand and felt comforted. Recover well. You can't be careless during your confinement. Don't worry. If I'm not feeling well, your son-in-law will definitely be the first to find out. Mu Qiqi looked at Xing Zhao's sullen face and burst out laughing. Then have a good rest. Daddy will go out. Go and see your granddaughter. Xin Jianchuan nodded. When he left, he closed the door. When Mu Qiqi saw this, she quickly grabbed Xing Zhao's hand and said, How can a father be angry with his own daughter like this? Xing Xiao sat by Mu Qiqi's window and held her hand. Just pretend that I'm sick. My daughter is a piece of flesh that fell from your body, but you are my flesh. Even if you hurt me, my heart will be pierced. I can't do anything about you. I just don't know what Grandpa will name his daughter. Outside the door, it was really lively. If not for the fact that this was a top-notch obstetrics hospital and a suite, who would allow a group of people to snatch the child here. It wasn't easy for old Master Sheng to hold the child for a few minutes. Before he could get addicted, old Master Shen took him over. The little girl was not shy at all. She opened her small eyes that had yet to open and looked at the group of strange old people. Old Master Shen, Qiqi said that you still have to give the little girl a name. Please give her a name. At this moment, Mama Sheng suddenly said to old Master Shen. However, old Master Sheng was not convinced. I want to give her a name too. How about this? Old Master Shen will give her a name. Dad, you give her a nickname. The two old men glanced at each other and were satisfied with the result. Chapter 978. I've already given little Bao, a name. Old Master Shen looked at the little cutie in his arms and said happily, Let's call her Xing Qingwan. She's generous and ladylike. In the future, she'll definitely be Mom and Dad's little cotton-padded jacket. Don't be like your mother, who holds a scalpel all day long. The older generation cared about the meaning of their names. Old Master Sheng was satisfied with this name. At least she has some standards. Since I have a name, I'll give her a nickname. Let's call her an N. It's simpler. I hope she can be safe all the time. Just like that, the two old men decided on their daughter's name. It seemed that Mu Qiqi did not give birth to her and Xing Zhao's daughter. Instead, she gave birth to a daughter for everyone. This was because after her daughter was born, she really did not hug her other than when she was breastfeeding. There were people who rushed to check up on the child, change diapers and put on clothes. It was no wonder that Xing Xiao had told her not to study so carefully. However, Xing Xiao was happy to see this result. All in all, the ward was bustling with activity for 3 consecutive days after the child was born. Feng Shanshan only came to see Mu Qiqi after settling her son down 3 days later. Are you feeling okay? Feng Shanshan saw her sitting on the bed and could not help but ask, "Do you feel like you want to sleep even when you're standing?" "Of course. You should be content. Other than breastfeeding, everything else is already very easy with your family around." Feng Shanshan pushed her head enviously. "We have 2 lives. But you don't think you're working hard at all, do you?" Because she had given birth to the child of the man they loved, that kind of happiness filled the hearts of the 2 women at all times. "Didn't you get what you wanted now?" It was not easy for her to see her daughter sleeping soundly in her arms. Muchichi was indeed very satisfied because it was too magical. This child had her and Xiao Zhao's blood flowing in her body. It was no wonder that children were the link between parents. TSK, look at you smiling like that." Feng Shanshan could not stand it anymore. In addition, Xing Xiao had also entered the ward, so Feng Shanshan found an excuse to leave and left the space for the family of 3. "Mommy and 5th aunt have gone back? Well, it's finally quiet." Xing Xiao took off his coat, hung it on the hanger, and walked to the mother and daughter. At that moment, Muchichi coughed a few times. Xing Xiao put the blanket that he had prepared on Muchichi. "I'm going to catch a cold. Who's the one feeling uncomfortable?" "Xiao Xiao, do you think our daughter looks more like you or me?" "It's natural for a daughter to be like her father," Xing Xiao answered as he hugged the mother and son. "But I hope she's like you. This is our daughter." Muchichi smiled like a child because this was the scene she had been looking forward to for a long time. She was holding the child and Xing Xiao was holding her. It was said that women would become gentle after giving birth, and that was indeed the case. "Lean on me and sleep for a while. When the little thing wakes up it will ask you for milk," Xing Xiao said in a low voice above her head. "Although I also want to try what it tastes like." Indecent. Although Muchichi was scolding him, she still felt a strong sense of sleep in his arms. Xing Xiao tightened his grip at that. Especially when he looked at the woman in his arms. Because she had to feed the baby, she did not rest much. He wanted to call Mama Xing immediately and only feed this little thing formula in the future. That night, there was only the 3 of them in the hospital. Although they were tired, it was the same as Muchichi's dream life. In fact, she knew that Xing Xiao had less rest than her. When she was feeding, Xing Xiao had to help. When she was asleep, Xing Xiao had to take care of them. Thinking of this, she could not help hugging Xing Xiao's waist. "You've lost weight these few days. Does your heart ache?" Xing Xiao asked as he hugged her. "Yes. My heart aches too. So after you're discharged, I'll go for a vasectomy." He was determined not to have another child. One was enough. It was still snowing in Jianchuan at night. However, the Shen family was not ordinary tonight. Because no one expected that the second son of the Shen family would be taken away by the discipline inspection team in the evening. At that time, Grandpa Shen was eating at the Xing family's house. When Huang Yu saw this, she panicked. Could it be that her husband had really made a mistake? That was impossible. He had always been honest. Thinking of this, Huang Yu immediately went to Shen Jianchuan. "Brother, I already know. Don't tell Dad about this for the time being. I'll use my connections to find out what exactly it is about." Shen Jianchuan comforted Huang Yu. "It's useless for you to be anxious now. Okay, I'll calm down first. But my second son has always been well behaved. I don't believe he's that kind of person. Don't worry. I'll get to the bottom of it." So, after nightfall, Shen Jianchuan left the Shen family with his black hood on. Naturally, he believed in his brother. The other party must have known that Xiao Qi had given birth and 8th brother had no time to deal with it. That was why he chose such an opportunity to deal with the Shen family. He did not know how second brother had fallen into the other party's trap. He had to get to the bottom of it first. Grandpa Shen was a guest at the Sheng family. He had not received any news yet, but it would happen sooner or later. He hoped that it would not be too much of a shock to him. Thinking of this, Shen Jianchuan still gave Xing Xiao a call. "Xiao Qi, pay more attention to the safety of your mother and daughter. Your second uncle was taken away for questioning in the evening. I don't know what the Song family did." "He's been taken away? It's been an hour. If something happens to second brother, someone from Zhongting might come to investigate. Be prepared." "Don't worry about that. Zhongting can withstand any investigation. There was no financial relationship between Zhongting and the Shen family in the first place. Even if the outside world said that Zhongting had a close relationship with the Shen family, as long as Xing Xiao and the Shen family knew the truth of it." However, did Song Jiang choose to settle the score at this time because he knew that he had just received a daughter and was ready to fight? That would be underestimating him too much. After that, Xing Xiao gave Secretary He a call to understand the whole story. "Xing Xiao, it's best if you don't interfere in this matter. Someone behind the scenes wants to touch the Shin family, so they've found an unorthodox way. However, you don't have to worry too much. After all, we all know that the Shin family can withstand the test. Let's wait and see. I understand. If there's anything I can do to help, I hope Secretary he will let me know. I'll be very grateful. What are you talking about? What kind of friendship do we have? However, I heard that sister-in-law has given birth. The other party probably wants to take the opportunity to cause trouble. No matter what, I'll congratulate you on becoming a father. Thank you, Secretary He. Xing Xiao put down his phone and looked at the mother and daughter who were still asleep. He turned around and looked out the window. This was the Song family's last battle, right? Because the Song family's funds could only support Song Jiang to this point. Chapter 979. The next morning, Mayor Shin returned home. Huang Yu saw that he was tired, so she quickly pulled him back into the room and said, "Don't let Dad see you. He doesn't know that you were taken away last night." Mayor Shin nodded and returned to his room to sit down. He held his wife's hand and said, "I'm sorry to have made you worry. What exactly is going on? Second bro, you didn't really go and do those?" "No." Mayor Shin interrupted his wife. "Don't worry. Since they want to investigate, let them do it properly. The cause of this matter is that a few days ago on the way to the office, I saved a pair of mother and daughter. When I interrogated them last night, I found out that the mother and daughter's identity is not simple. Then someone deliberately set us up." Huang Yu became even more nervous when she heard this. This was the unorthodox way that Secretary he had mentioned. Mayor Shin had saved people he shouldn't have saved and made arrangements that he shouldn't have. What were the implications and benefits involved? Of course, the higher-ups had to investigate clearly. "Don't worry. I'm not afraid. It's just that eighth brother might have to suffer a little. Eighth brother called last night and told us not to worry. Zhongting is doing a proper business. Why don't you stop doing it? Anyway, Shinlin is already sensible. We don't lack anything. There's no need for you to work so hard outside. If you're not careful and get set up like this, what will happen if we lose you in the family?" Huang Yu had always been straightforward. But this time she was really afraid. Her husband did not come back last night. She felt as if the sky had collapsed. Moreover, even if this kind of matter was investigated in the end, her reputation would be damaged. She would not be able to return to her original position. "Don't make such a big deal out of it. Things haven't reached that stage yet. I know who the people behind this are. I also have friends. They will do their best to help me. Don't worry. No matter what, big brother and eighth brother are still here." Huang Yu thought about it carefully. She knew that it was useless to worry, so she stood up and turned on the water for her husband. "Take a good bath first and rest." "No, I have to go out. Otherwise Dad will be suspicious. He will go to the hospital to see Xiaoqi later." "Don't worry." Mu Qiqi woke up in the morning and noticed Xing Zhao's unusual behavior. He had been accompanying her in the hospital for the past few days. Her father was in charge of Zhongting's matters. However, since midnight, Mu Qiqi had received more calls. Although she was very tired, she knew what she was doing. Therefore, when fifth aunt came over, Mu Qiqi said to Xing Xiao, "If Zhongting has something, go. I have so many people here. Are you afraid that you can't take care?" Xing Xiao put down the bowl of chicken soup and sat down beside Mu Qiqi. "I'm just afraid that they'll ignore your feelings. I'm not as weak as you think. I know I'm the one you love the most. Go, okay." Xing Xiao sighed. While fifth aunt was packing the baby's things, he said to Mu Qiqi, "Something happened to the Shin family. Second uncle was taken away last night because the Song family set up a trap. Things are very tricky now. Although second uncle was sent back, he is currently suspended." When Mu Qiqi heard this, she immediately became nervous. "So, the old man from the Song family took advantage of you being too busy to deal with him and being careless to attack second uncle? Second uncle is loyal and straightforward, so it's easy for others to take advantage of his weakness. Song Jiang, that old fox, is cunning. No wonder he fell into his trap. I'm not telling you this to make you worry. Everything the Shin family and I have done is to protect you. You have to believe that if Song Jiang wants to hurt anyone from the Shin family or the Xing family, he has to ask us first. So, you just need to recover in peace in the hospital. Leave everything else to the man, okay?" After hearing Xing Zhao's words, Mu Qiqi suddenly laughed. "As expected of a father. You're even putting on airs. I understand. I'm not worried. Go ahead." Xing Xiao got up and kissed Mu Qiqi's forehead. He did not look at the little one in her arms. He put on his coat and left the ward. Outside the door, Su Che had been waiting for a long time. A lot of people came early in the morning. The people from the finance department are dealing with them now. Give them whatever they want. Let them investigate as much as they want, Xing Xiao said to Su Che as he strode out of the hospital. Go to Huangyao now. Just as Xing Xiao was about to get into the car, he suddenly saw the man in a wheelchair in front of him. He was already missing his right leg. Xing Xiao suddenly closed the car door and quietly waited for the man to approach. Long time no see. Xiao Xing, you're a father now. Congratulations. It seems that Xiao Song heard about the good show yesterday and rushed back eagerly, right? Whose side are you on now? Xing Xiao asked Song Buji. I don't think you and Song Jiang are still father and son. After all, after finding out that you were crippled, Song Jiang's first reaction was to abandon you. I'm here to take a look at the little bride. Xiao Xing won't be so stingy, right? Song Buji did not want to talk about Song Jiang with Xing Xiao at all. Just watch from afar. Don't disturb her. With that, Xing Xiao opened the car door again and got into his Bentley. Su Che looked at Song Buji from the rearview mirror and could not help but ask Xing Xiao, "You're not letting me follow?" "There's no need. There are too many people in the ward. He won't have a chance to make a move." Moreover, Xing Xiao did not think that Song Buji was here to cause trouble. Song Buji watched the black Bentley pass by him and could not help but sneer. He hated Xing Xiao the most because he thought too highly of himself. However, Xing Xiao's guess was right. However, he did not come here to see Muchichi. He came here to get a prosthetic leg. At the same time, he wanted to see how happy the little bride was now. The ward was indeed bustling with activity. People kept coming in and out. Song Buji glanced at the door, then turned to his nurse and said, "Let's go. It's a pity that Xing Xiao got to such an interesting and good woman first. She even has a child. If I met her first, Xing Xiao would have nothing to do with it. Since Mr. Song likes her, why don't you snatch her? A young woman is more attractive." "What do you know?" Song Buji shook his head. "I can be ruthless to everyone and do some despicable things. Only the little bride looks the best when she smiles. In a man's life there had to be a special woman. He couldn't get her, but he couldn't let her go. No one else would understand that feeling. It was good that he understood it. The person I want to settle the score with is that old thing, Song Jiang. I only found out a few days ago that that old thing has a son. Since he threw me away so casually, I can only do justice for the heavens." Chapter 980. Xing Xiao went to Huangyao. Because the Sheng and Shin families were old friends, their relationship had been very harmonious for the past few years. It was inevitable that they would be affected. However, the Sheng family in Huangyao had been properly dealt with by Shen Kai. Even if Xing Xiao went over, there was nothing much he could do. "Since you've done so well, I have nothing to worry about. Let's go." Xing Xiao put on his brown coat and black gloves. He was about to leave with Su Che. However, Shen Kai caught up to him and said, "Eighth brother, just take good care of the Shen family. Leave the Sheng family to me." "Of course I'll leave it to you. Don't forget, I've already married into the Shen family." With that, the corners of Xing Xiao's lips curled up. There was a hint of relief in his smile. He could leave Huangyao with peace of mind, a brand new Huangyao. Now that the enemy was in front of them, it was fortunate that the Sheng family was no longer in a state of disunity. As long as the family was united, it would be easy for them to overcome the difficulties. However, the matter did not hide it from old Master Shen for long. After all, he also had friends. When his old friends called him out of concern, he naturally knew that something had happened to second brother last night, but no one in the family told him. Thinking of this, old Master Shen returned home from the hospital and asked Huang Yu, "Where's your husband?" Huang Yu did not know that old Master Shen would be back so soon, so she stammered and could not answer. "Why didn't you tell me that something so big had happened?" Huang Yu was shocked. She knew that she could not hide it anymore, so she explained, "We were afraid that you would be worried. Call boss immediately and ask eighth brother to come over." Old Master Shen snorted angrily with his hands behind his back. "I'm not a persimmon. I'll go soft if someone pinches me." Huang Yu quickly did as she was told. After answering Xin Jianchuan's call, she called Xing Xiao and finally went to the room to wake her husband up. Then the whole family of men held a meeting in the Shen family's living room. "Dad, it's my fault. I didn't do it well and let you down." "What did you do wrong? You want to apologize to me? You just saved someone. There's no need." The mother and daughter that Mayor Shin saved were economic criminals who were on the run. At that time they were beaten up by a man on the street and no one went up to help. Mayor Shin got out of the car to save them and asked his secretary to send them to the hospital. However, no one expected that the mother and daughter were arranged by Song Jiang, and there were many unknown secrets behind them. They were arranged by the secretary. If the police couldn't catch them, they would definitely think that they were involved or even accomplices. Old Master Shin sat on the chair and replied forcefully, I should have expected that scumbag Song Jiang would choose this time to make his move. In the end, it's a grudge from more than 20 years ago. I should have settled it a long time ago. Second brother, your identity is very important right now. It's not convenient for you to go out. You should stay at home and wait for the investigation. Boss, although I know you don't want me to negotiate with Song Jiang, I want to meet Song Jiang about this matter. I want to see that old bastard's face. After all, the person he hates the most is me. As for eighth brother, you've already been a shield for the Shen family many times. Don't charge into the fray anymore. You're also a father now. Above you there's Jianchuan and me. I'm just old, but I'm not stupid. There's no need for you to leave me out of everything. Jianchuan, come out with me. These old bones haven't moved for too long. It's time for me to go out and meet my old friends. Shin Jianchuan understood what the old man meant. The higher-ups knew about what happened 25 years ago. Because of this matter, the Shen family was now in a state of chaos. At the end of the day, it wasn't that the old man couldn't handle such a small matter. It was just that Song Jiang's methods were too despicable and shameless. But no matter what, second brother had already suffered a loss in this matter. After the matter is investigated, second brother, you should make your own plans. Dad, you don't have to worry about me. I have a clear conscience. Mayor Shin didn't care about a villain at all. I don't regret the decision I made 25 years ago. I only regret that I didn't deal with that scumbag Song Jiang at the same time. That's why so many innocent lives were harmed. What a sin! Since the old man had come forward, Huang Yu's heart that was hanging in midair was no longer worried. She didn't care what her husband would do in the future. Since he was already at this age, why not retire and enjoy his blessings? However, to clear Mayor Shin's name, he had to start with the mother and daughter. Why couldn't the police find them? It was because Song Jiang had hidden himself. Of course, he had to let the professionals do it. Therefore, after leaving the Shin family, Xing Xiao called Tang Yan. He was no longer in charge of the front lines because he was now the deputy chief of the branch office. I wonder if Deputy Chief Tang has time to follow up on Song Jiang's case for the last time? Xing Xiao sat in the car, but his gaze was on the entrance of the branch office next to him. I got the news, Tang Yan answered Xing Xiao directly. He didn't beat around the bush. Publicly, Bai Sini's case hasn't been solved, so of course I'm concerned. Privately, I'm the Shin family's godson-in-law. I can't just stand by and do nothing when something happens to the Shin family. I know what you're looking for. I've already collected basic information about the mother and daughter. As long as they're in Jianchuan, they'll definitely be found. In terms of ability to find people, I trust you in all of Jianchuan. Sheng Zhao's affirmation was extremely useful to Tang Yan. Therefore, he smiled and only said 4 words, wait for my news. The mother and daughter were the source of everything. They were also the key to sending Song Jiang to hell. After hanging up the phone, Tang Yan called Lin Mu, a trainee policeman, into his office. I have an errand for you. Please give me your instructions, Deputy Chief. Lin Mu, was very convinced by Tang Yan. After all, his name was well known in the police world. Take a look for yourself. Tang Yan handed the information to Lin Mu. You're a newcomer. No one will notice you if you go out. I'll give you 1 day. If you make a breakthrough, I'll consider you qualified. Yes, sir. Lin Mu, took the information and left Tang Yan's office. This was his first test as a trainee policeman. Tang Yan had given him the task of finding someone. Of course, when he was doing this, Tang Yan had already asked the chief. Back then, Bai Sini's cases had almost caused Old Cheng to lose his life. He still owed Old Cheng an explanation. The chief knew that he couldn't let it go, so he only gave him 3 days. Therefore, while Lin Mu went out to look for information, Tang Yan would personally disguise himself. After all, he had promised Xing Xiao that he would give him news as soon as possible. Song Jiang's time was up. However, it was unknown whether he would die in the hands of Xing Xiao and the others or his own son. Chapter 981. Song Jiang was indeed staking everything on one throw because he had already cut off all his escape routes. He did not care who would benefit from this, he just wanted the Shin family to not have peace. Therefore he spread the news that second brother of the Shin family was suspended. Over the last few years, the Shen family and Zhongting had been relying on each other and flourishing in Jianchuan. Now that the Shen family was suddenly being investigated, wouldn't Zhongting be next? The outside world was discussing spiritedly, and the matter of the Shen family was spread to the ears. And in such a situation, no matter what the Shen family did, it would be magnified infinitely, and even people would casually spread rumors. How many mistresses did second brother Shen have? How many villas did he have? When these people spread the rumor, they even knew to add pictures. Their ability to fabricate stories was top-notch. Shen Lauer was annoyed, but he couldn't defend himself. However, from Xing Zhao's point of view, Zhongting's public relations department and legal team were not to be trifled with. When Mu Qiqi saw the news in the hospital, she could not help but feel indignant for second uncle. However, they were in the eye of the storm now. Whoever spoke out would be beaten into a sieve by the keyboard warriors. This Song Jiang is really hateful. Mama Sheng saw how angry she was and said, "Let Song Jiang be proud. In any case, he's already at the end of his rope. Mommy believes that justice is in the hearts of the people. The Shen family will surely get through this crisis safely. It's a pity that I'm not a man. If I were a man and Song Jiang stood in front of me, I would definitely beat him up to vent my hatred." Mu Qiqi hugged her precious daughter and snorted angrily. "Mommy, why don't we leave the hospital and go home? We'll feel more at ease this way. You don't have the final say in this matter. The doctor has to say it." Mama Xing looked at her and said, "But I also want to do something within my power." She wanted to help find the whereabouts of the mother and daughter, so that she could prove second uncle's innocence as soon as possible. "Your mission now is to recover well. Once you're out of confinement, I won't stop you wherever you want to go." Mu Qiqi thought about it carefully. Of course, she comforted herself not to be willful. "Besides, do you think it's so easy to get out of the hospital? Everyone knows that you gave birth to a daughter, and they are all waiting outside the hospital." Sigh. "If I had known, I would have kept a low profile." As Mu Qiqi sighed, the baby in her arms started crying. Mu Qiqi quickly coaxed her. "Isn't it Daddy's jacket but not Mommy's? All right, little pitiful. Don't you have to cry." The Shen family was in a mess. Song. He wanted to make the Shen family into a foul atmosphere and become notorious. That his years of planning would not be wasted. Shen. According to Shen, it had it. According to the information provided by the passers-by and the surveillance footage, Mayor Shen's secretary had kindly bought bus tickets for the mother and daughter. It was said that they were returning to their hometown. He found was Shan Tang on Tang, and on Tang. He had had time. He found Tian Du Trang. Dong, Heon sect. Other Ming. Li. Hao. In other words, he was still in Jianchuan. Lin Mu, and went to exit number 5 and saw several snack bars and beggars at the exit. The first thing Lin Mu and did was ask for the surveillance footage from the snack bar. Tang Yin had said that he must have a breakthrough today. Otherwise, he would not be considered qualified. However, the surveillance cameras in the snack bar did not record the mother and daughter's whereabouts. Then Lin Mu and tried asking the homeless man at the door. He didn't think that these people, who only had money in their eyes, would remember or even see the mother and daughter. "This pair of mother and daughter? I have, but I will only tell you where they went if you give me money." "I saw them too. I saw them get into a black car." "No, they clearly went that way." The 3 beggars each had their own story. They just wanted Lin Mu and to pay. Lin Mu sighed. At this time, an old man sitting at the exit number 5 said, "The 2 of them left in a taxi. The taxi driver is surnamed Lu. He often pulls illegal cabs in this area. That day the mother and daughter were in a hurry to leave, so they got into his car. I don't know where they went exactly." "Thank you, sir." Lin Mu and turned around and thanked him. "Go to Hongyuan Taxi Company. You can find this driver surnamed Lu." The old man waved his hand and closed his eyes again. He was an old resident here, so he was familiar with the surrounding area. After Lin Mu and knew the situation, he immediately rushed to the taxi company. With the help of the manager, he found 2 drivers surnamed Lu. After combining the opinions of his colleagues, Lin Mu unlocked onto the target. Only God knew how much effort he had put in to get to this point. By the time he found the driver surnamed Lu, it was already evening. It was snowing in the sky of Jianchuan. "It's not easy to find you." Lin Mu and forced himself into the driver's car and took out his ID to catch his breath. When the driver saw that it was a police officer, he was a little nervous. "Officer, I didn't do anything wrong. Don't arrest the wrong person. Then tell me one thing first. Have you seen this mother and daughter in the photo? Lin Mu, and took out the photo and asked the driver. The driver took a few glances and scratched his head. I think I've seen them. I even quarreled with this woman. Yes, it's this B*TC. She got out of the car in a hurry to reincarnate and didn't even give me enough money. Where did she go? A residential area on Changwon Road called Tianhiyuan. What else? Lin Mu and continued to ask, if you missed anything about you driving an illegal cab, don't, officer. After sending the mother and daughter to their destination that day, the woman got out of the car with the little girl. I saw that she didn't give me enough money, so I immediately drove after them. Who knew that there would be two strong men behind her? They entered the gate of the residential area together. I was afraid of getting into trouble, so I didn't get out of the car. In other words, the mother and daughter were now hiding in Tianhiyuan. I've remembered you and your license plate. If you dare to lie, the driver quickly waved his hands and begged for mercy. Officer, I'm just a small driver. You don't have to be angry with me. Lin Mu, and let out a breath and finally let the driver go. He got out of the taxi. Then he stood by the street and called Tang Yen. Deputy Chief, I found out that they're in Tianhiyuan. They're not in Tianhiyuan, Tang Yen immediately replied on the other end of the phone. How do you know? Logically speaking, if you can follow the clues to Tianhiyuan, then the other party will also know that they left something on you. So, going to Tianhiyuan is just for show, but the destination is definitely not there, Tang Yen replied. So, the information I found is useless, right? Chapter 982. Of course it's useful because the person must be nearby. If the other party didn't have any other plans, he could have sent them out of the country directly. That way no one would be able to find them. However, the other party left 2 witnesses in Jianchuan. In other words, there's a next step. Also, if the matter blows up, the mother and daughter will be on the news and become the focus of everyone's discussion. Living in a place with a complicated environment will definitely attract attention, and it's not convenient to move. So, which area is suitable for hiding and is not easy to find? Pay attention to it. Lastly, you have to pay more attention to the little girls nearby, especially those who come out to play alone. After listening to Tang Yan's words, Lin Mu, and deeply felt that he still had a long way to go. With his current level of martial arts, he was really a 3-legged cat. Then did I not complete the first task you gave me? It's already not bad. Tang Yan said sincerely, because you have to know that the mother and daughter you're looking for are being hidden by a murderer who created a murder case and has yet to be solved. It's getting cold. Find a place to rest and pay attention to your own safety. Understood, Deputy Director. Thinking about it, Lin Mu, and was a real young master. Even though he was now an intern police officer, he was still the grandson of the Lin family. Tang Yen knew that with the power of the Lin family, Lin Mu, and did not need to suffer for many years like him. As long as Lin Mu, and was willing to suffer for the first 3 years, it was only a matter of time before he was promoted. Fortunately, Lin Mu, and was indeed down to earth. He didn't look like a young master at all. In order to find the mother and daughter as soon as possible, Tang Yen immediately asked Old Ching to check all the surrounding buildings and analyze the residential buildings where people could hide. In the end, he locked onto a high-end residential area 3 streets away from Tianhiyuan. Then Tang Yen called Xing Xiao. I have news, but I need manpower. How much? Xing Xiao did not expect Tang Yen to be so quick. For at least half of Su Che's skills and quick thinking. I'll give you my contact number in half an hour. If the mother and daughter were really in a high-class residential area, then they would definitely be protected, and the residential area would also be monitored. Therefore, Tang Yen wanted to alert the enemy and cooperate with Lin Mu, and to enter the neighborhood to confirm. Song Jiang did not know that Xing Xiao and the others had already found the approximate location of the mother and daughter's hiding place. He was now enjoying the pleasure of ruining the reputation of the Shin family. However, this feeling did not last long. Very soon the officials came out to refute the rumors. All the rumors about the Shin family were false. He also hoped that the netizens could make good use of the internet environment and not be biased. This was equivalent to someone suddenly grabbing onto Song Jiang's sweet spot when he was having a good time. Soon all the keywords on the internet were withdrawn and could no longer be searched. Song Jiang was very angry. However, even so, the Shin family's image was no longer what it used to be. Don't worry, I still have a second shot. Just as Song Jiang was feeling smug, an uninvited guest came to the door. Song Jiang never expected that his son, who had been missing for more than a month, would suddenly return in a wheelchair. Compared to a month ago, Song Buji had a buzz cut, and his gaze was sharper and deeper. I've only been gone for a month and Dad doesn't recognize me? Song Jiang smiled and lowered his head to hug his son. Of course I do. Welcome back, my son. I thought you didn't want to see me at all. Song Buji smiled easily, but his words carried a deeper meaning. The father and son were separated by their hearts. No one knew what the other was going to do next. Of course, Song Jiang did not know the purpose of Song Buji's return. Buji, you won't blame Dad, right? Song Jiang asked tentatively. When Dad went back to look for you after dealing with the Yashang group, you were already missing. Do you know how anxious you made Dad? I just couldn't accept the fact that I was crippled for a while, but now I've thought it through. Song Buji looked very calm. That's good. Let's have a good drink tonight. Drink? Song Buji smiled coldly. He did not come to Song Jiang's side to be filial. However, he would let Song Buji be happy tonight. Tomorrow he would let Song Jiang know what it meant to draw water with a sieve. The winter night was so long. Lin Mu, and found a place to lie down for half an hour. Then he met up with the 4 men Tang Yen had found. The few of them had to make a plan tonight and settle the property in the neighborhood. Tomorrow they would be able to confirm if the mother and daughter were really hiding here. Late at night at the hospital. This was the first time Lu Qianqian had called Mu Qiqi after she gave birth. There were a few apologies on the phone because she had been very busy recently. Qiqi, I'll definitely come to see my goddaughter tomorrow. You won't blame me, right? I don't even remember who you are. Mu Qiqi hugged her daughter and couldn't help but laugh at her. Lin Mu, and has already gone to the branch office for an internship. Just take pity on me. He just called me and said that he won't be coming home tonight. He's only interning for a few days and he's already not going home. Then you'll have to get used to it in the next few years, Mu Qiqi said honestly. He's about to become a real police officer. It's common for him to go out in the middle of the night and not go home for a few days. I regret supporting him now, Lu Qianqian couldn't help but complain. Lu Qianqian couldn't help but complain. I thought that since he moved home from the police academy, we would be able to spend more time together. Let's not talk about this. Tomorrow I'll go over and see who my goddaughter looks like. Logically speaking, Tang Yin shouldn't have given Lin Mu a big task during his internship, nor should he have stayed home all night. However, Xing Xiao came and gave her an answer. Tang Yin asked Lin Mu to find the mother and daughter's whereabouts. It seems that the deputy chief has the intention of grooming Lin Mu. Have you found the mother and daughter? Soon. Xing Xiao took over the task of carrying his daughter so that Mu Qiqi could rest. Does Song Jiang think that by discrediting the Shen family he's taking revenge on them? Although Grandpa does care about reputation, he cares more about whether the family can be together. And Xiao Xiao, aren't you curious where Song Buji went? I have a feeling that this person will come out and slap his father in the face. Xing Xiao suddenly looked up at Mu Qiqi. This person's sixth sense could be patented. I saw Song Buji yesterday. He's at the hospital. Ha! Mu Qiqi was puzzled. He came to cause trouble for you? He said that he wanted to see you, Xing Xiao said truthfully. Is there something wrong with him? Why is he looking at me? Mu Qiqi pointed at herself and laughed because it was really funny. He likes you. Mu Qiqi was speechless. How do you know? The look in the eyes of males. Xing Xiao snorted confidently. Chapter 983. No, it's useless for him to like me. I don't like him. In the past there weren't many young ladies who liked you. You're angry with me. It's not like I can control who he likes. Xing Xiao took the opportunity to pinch her face. Don't smile at other men in the future. It's scary when a man's vinegar jar is overturned. Mu Qiqi ignored him. After her daughter fell asleep, she asked, How has Grandpa been feeling these 2 days? Is Second Aunt okay? The news about the Shen family is all over the place. I don't know if the old man can get over it. Changing the topic? Mu Qiqi couldn't be bothered with this man. She placed her daughter in his arms. I'm tired. It's your turn to coax me. Xing Xiao returned his daughter to Mu Qiqi. Taking advantage of Mu Qiqi's puzzled expression, he pulled her onto his lap and sat her down. You coax little Qi. I'll coax you. Then how are you going to coax me? Xing Xiao turned her face and kissed her thin lips. I'll coax you like this. Little Qi watched her parents get intimate with each other with her sparkling eyes. On a cold winter night, it was best to warm up a little wine at home and drink with someone. Song Jiang and Song Boji were like this. This small glass reminded Song Jiang of when he was young, drinking with his father and brother. When I see the Shen family disband, I'll go to their graves and have a few drinks with them. Song Boji held his wine glass and looked at his father. He remained sober. Do you think the Shen family will disband? At the very least, they'll have to live like rats on the street in the future. Song Boji still smiled and clinked his glass with Song Jiang. That's indeed worth celebrating. Just as the father and son were drinking, the second son of the Shen family was taken away for questioning again. Moreover, he was taken away in front of old Master Shen because there had been new developments in the case. The secretary had been found to have a problem. Although the secretary had repeatedly assured the higher-ups that this was his personal problem and had nothing to do with the second son of the Shen family, the second son still had to face a detailed interrogation. At this time you couldn't make the slightest mistake. Otherwise all the past would be dug out and you would be questioned. Dad, think of something. Huang Yu panicked. She didn't know if her husband would be tortured and extorted a confession from her husband. Grandpa Shen held Huang Yu. He seemed to have aged a lot overnight. Don't worry. He will be back tomorrow morning. If that scumbag Song Jiang was standing in front of me, I would definitely kill him. Shen Lin might have heard that something had happened to his father, so he took leave from the army and came back. Perhaps Huang Yu would be happier to see her son. Song Jiang had indeed prepared a second bullet for the Shen family, which was that woman. She would lie about being second brother Shen's mistress and drag the entire Shen family into the mire. Because Song Jiang had her son in his hands. She had to do it. Song Jiang only gave her a few days to settle her daughter down, so tomorrow was the deadline. If she stood out tomorrow and slandered the Shen family, then one of the three of them would survive. If she did not do so, then all three of them would die. This was exactly what Tang Yen had predicted. Although the police had found the approximate location of the mother and daughter, they did not know the specific environment of the residential area. However, before the police could take action the next day in the middle of the night, the woman took advantage of the fact that there was no one around to send her daughter out of the residential area. This scene happened to be seen by the people sent by Xing Xiao and they immediately informed Lin Muan. Tang Yen ordered to arrest her directly because that woman was a criminal herself. This was Lin Muan's first time taking action. He was originally lying on the chair in the tea house and prepared to make do with it for the night. Who knew that this woman would be so restless? In the middle of the night, she got rid of the people who were watching her and ran out? For men caught a mother and daughter, so the woman naturally had nowhere to run. What are you doing? I'm going to call for help. Lin Muan looked at the mother and daughter in the corner and quickly took out his identification. Police. Then the mother and daughter were brought back to the police station by Lin Muan. This was probably what they called wearing out iron shoes in vain. Tang Yen thought that it would take some effort, but who knew that Lin Muan would be so lucky? Wasn't a hungry wolf waiting to be caught? So Tang Yen planned to interrogate the woman at night. Lin Muan wanted to learn, so he took the initiative to stay and do odd jobs for Tang Yen. In the interrogation room, the woman was handcuffed and sitting in front of the table. Her eyes were dull. When Tang Yen came in, she suddenly stood up and wanted to pounce on him. What did you do to my daughter? We are the police. What do you think we will do to your daughter? Tang Yen asked. The woman was stunned. After a moment of silence, she nodded. I know. You will protect my daughter, but no one will protect my son. Let me out. Tomorrow is the deadline. What deadline? Tang Yen immediately grasped the key point and began to attack her. Madam Mei, you have to think carefully. The police are the only people you can ask for help because we will not have any intentions towards you. The woman shook her head. It seemed that she was going to keep her mouth shut. I know what deadline you are talking about. Combined with the fact that your son is not by your side, someone is using your son to threaten you, right? I know you will definitely not tell the police, but don't forget that you are a wanted criminal. If you are caught by the police, you will never be able to go out and see your son again unless you cooperate with us. The woman clenched her fists tightly because she did not know what else she could do at that moment. It's fine if you don't tell me. I will hand you over anyway. When that time comes, everything will go according to the normal procedure. No one will listen to your story. Think about it carefully. After saying that, Tang Yen got up from the chair. Before I leave, I want to remind you where your son is now. Perhaps he is not safe. Her son was a string in the woman's heart, but Tang Yen pulled on this line of defense tightly and pulled at the woman's rationality at any time. Save my son, save my son. First, you have to tell us where your son is. In Song Jiang's hands. The woman had no choice but to tell the police the truth. He took my son away and threatened me to slander Mayor Shin. He did everything. It has nothing to do with me. Is everything you said true? I swear. The woman raised her hand and said, "So please save my son. I do deserve it, but my child is not at fault." In the second half of the interrogation, Tang Yen interrogated her carefully and dug out all the secrets in the woman's stomach. Then Tang Yen handed the case to the chief to make a decision. Mayor Shin can be cleared, but arresting Song Jiang is not within our jurisdiction. Because it involves a big case, this matter still has to be handed over to the 9th Division to handle. Moreover, Baisini's cases still can't be cleared. As long as we can interrogate Song Jiang, there is a possibility of prying open his mouth. I believe in the people of the 9th Division. After all, Shinmei was such a stubborn person. After being sent to the 9th Division, she confessed everything that night. Thank you for your hard work. I'll contact Chief Long now. After a while, Tang Yen came out of the chief's office. Young Master Lin quickly went up to him and asked, "Deputy Chief, how was it? You have contributed greatly to catching the key person. The Shin family has to thank you this time. However, the follow-up will have to be handed over. It's not within the jurisdiction of our branch." No matter what, being able to help and be useful to others was the greatest affirmation of Lin Mu-an. Go home and rest. Thank you for your hard work. Tang Yen patted Lin Mu-an's shoulder and said. He returned Xing Zhao's call and had to go home to see the child. Lin Mu-an was satisfied with Tang Yan's affirmation and smiled like a child. Soon Xing Zhao received a message from Tang Yan. I understand. Thank you for this matter. You really shouldn't thank me for this matter. You should thank yourself. You invested in Lin Mu-an and helped yourself. Tang Yan smiled over the phone. Wait for the news to come out tomorrow. Song Jiang has been arrested. He has planned for so many years, but it was ruined by a child. To Tang Yan, Lin Mu-an was a child. I'm home. I need to coax the child to sleep. Same to you? Tang Yan almost forgot that this person was also a father. Therefore, the two of them laughed at the same time and hung up the phone. As long as Song Jiang was arrested, it seemed that this winter would become warmer. At the same time, Mu Qiqi was still breastfeeding Yan Qi. Seeing Xing Zhao's relaxed expression when he put down his phone, Mu Qiqi guessed that something good had happened. Is there news about the mother and daughter? They were caught by Lin Mu-an. Now, the witness has been handed over to the 9th Division. Soon, the Shin family's innocence will be proven. Lin Mu-an? Mu Qiqi found it unbelievable when she heard this. There really was a plan. Looks like I have to treat him to a good meal another day. No, I should make a banner for him. Just the thought of that old thing, Song Jiang, being arrested makes me excited. Xing Zhao looked at her helplessly and took little Qi. He even scolded Mu Qiqi dotingly, idiot. That night was really exciting. In the middle of the night, Song Jiang stumbled and clinked glasses with Song Buozhi. He was already drunk, but Song Buozhi was still very sober. Then Song Buozhi received a call. The person on the other end of the line informed Song Buozhi that the mother and daughter had been released according to plan. Why could the mother and daughter run out in the middle of the night? It was because Song Buozhi had done something to a few bodyguards. Otherwise, Song Jiang would not have made such a mistake. This was one of the ways he took revenge on Song Jiang. He wanted to see Song Jiang's expression tomorrow morning. The next morning, the sky had just brightened. Song Jiang suddenly felt someone kick his thigh. When he woke up from the table, he opened his eyes and saw Song Buozhi in a wheelchair. You're awake? Just in time. Someone's looking for you. Song Jiang propped himself up and saw several police officers standing behind Song Buozhi, including the boss of the 9th Division. Chapter 984. Song Jiang had yet to recover from his shock. He stood up with his hands on the table and pointed at the people from the 9th Division. Are you here to protect us again? Don't you have anything else to do? We don't need you here. Get lost. Chief Long looked at Song Jiang mockingly, smoke coming out of his mouth. This person had been keeping the entire 9th Division busy recently. How could he spare him? They're here to arrest you, Song Buozhi answered Song Jiang on behalf of Chief Long. The mother and daughter have been arrested. Song Jiang was stunned when he heard this. A moment later he suddenly came to a realization. It's you? Your matters have nothing to do with me. Song Buozhi calmly tidied up the wine bottles on the table. It's just that your wish to see the Shin family destroyed might be shattered. For a moment, Song Jiang couldn't accept the fact that Song Buozhi had betrayed him. He grabbed Song Buozhi's neck from behind. B asterisk starred, you're a B asterisk starred. How could I have such a son? How could I have a crippled son like you? And the relationship between you and Deputy Liang, the murder case you used Changrong Electronics to create, and the dirty deals behind J-City. I've handed the evidence to the police. Song Buji very calmly broke free from Song Jiang's shackles. I just want you to have a taste of being abandoned and betrayed. Don't you want to see the Shen family fall apart? Then I'll help the Shen family prove its innocence and help the Shen family prosper. I'll make you die, with a grievance. He was clearly one step away from success, but all of Song Jiang's plans had been ruined by his son. His grand blueprint, his ambition, and he even felt that he would be able to achieve great things with Deputy Liang in the future. However, all of this had been ruined by his good son today. Do you think you can run away if I'm arrested? I was coerced by you from the beginning to the end. Which of your matters did I touch? At most, I seduced the little CEO of the Liu family. However, I only knew about your plans but I didn't participate in them. Song Buji sneered. If that's the case, I still have merit for reporting you. Even if I'm at fault, it can be offset. You and your son should have said enough, right? After Chief Long finished smoking, he gestured for his subordinates to take action. Song Jiang, do you really think that no one knows about the shady deals you've done? The 9th Division has been keeping an eye on you for a long time. Sooner or later this day will come. There's no need to continue daydreaming about your meteoric rise. Take him away. When Song Jiang was taken away, he looked at Song Buji unwillingly. He still wanted to resist, but Chief Long kicked him in the abdomen. Stop your futile struggle. Let's go back to the police station now and have a good discussion about whether the grudge from 25 years ago was right or wrong. We'll give you justice now and see how evil the Shen family is. The subordinates took Song Jiang away, while Chief Long stared at Song Buji's back and said, since you've chosen the right path, you'll be open and above board in the future. Otherwise, I'll capture your son after I capture your father. I won't see you out, Song Buji replied with a smile. It was impossible for him to live as his father because his greatest hatred in this life was toward Song Jiang. Very soon the news of Song Jiang's arrest spread. The mother and son also confessed all the facts. In fact, because of a grudge from more than 20 years ago, many cases were involved. It took almost a year. The second son of the Shen family was released home the next day. However, because of the damage to his reputation, he could no longer continue to be the mayor. However, the higher-ups had their own arrangements. When Huang Yu saw her husband return home, she felt that it was good that he was safe. Any compensation was not as important as a family reunion. At this moment, Shen Lin rushed home. After training in the army for such a long time, he had tanned and lost weight. However, he had matured and become more manly. Huang Yu was overjoyed to see her son. Why are you back? I knew that something had happened to Dad, so I took leave to come back. However, when I came back, I heard that the criminal had been arrested. Is Dad all right now? Shen Lin asked as he wrapped his arms around Huang Yu's shoulders. He's fine. Your father is fine. Huang Yu wiped her tears. Quickly go and see your grandfather. Your grandfather will be very happy to know that you're back. Don't worry, Mom. In the future, you and Dad don't have to worry about me anymore. I'll train well in the army and find you a very good and filial daughter-in-law. Huang Yu nodded happily. Okay, you're really sensible. The Shen family scandal was cleared up by the police. According to the mother and daughter's confession, everything was because they were coerced. That was why they had set up a trap to frame Mayor Shen. All of a sudden, the dark clouds that had shrouded the Shen family's head suddenly dispersed. Sheng Xiao soon found out about Song Jiang's arrest, even though he had known about it last night. Today was the day he would bring Mu Qiqi and her daughter home. This way good things would come in pairs. When they came out of the hospital, Sheng Xiao held his daughter in one hand and Mu Qiqi in the other. After they got into the car, he said to the little thing, Song Jiang has been arrested. Did the mother and daughter confess? Mu Qiqi guessed. It's not all because of the mother and daughter. Song Buji betrayed his father. Last night, in the middle of the night, he took the initiative to contact the people from the 9th Division and handed over concrete evidence. It said that Song Buji deliberately let the mother and daughter out so that the police could arrest them, Xing Xiao answered as he hugged his daughter. In that case, he did a good deed and got rid of a scourge for the people? Mu Qiqi couldn't understand Song Buji. He was so annoying when he destroyed Chanshan and Lin Mu, and now he had personally pushed his father into prison? How magical. To be specific, he did it to take revenge on Song Jiang for what he did to him in the hospital. There's no need to say it. I understand. In short, it's a dog-eat-dog situation, right? Mu Chichi snorted. I don't care what happens to the Song family. I only know that without Song Jiang in the future, the air in Jianchuan will become fresh. My only hope is that Song Buji won't become like Song Jiang. The two of them looked similar, but when she thought about it carefully, there were many differences between the two of them. I just didn't expect that the one who gave Song Jiang the final fatal blow would be his son. Fortunately, we can go home now. By the way, what's my daughter's name? Mu Chichi still didn't know her daughter's name because no one had informed her. Xing Qingwan. All right. It's obvious that she's the type that the old man likes. It doesn't matter. Wanwan is pretty good too. Mu Chichi didn't like this dignified socialite name. She hoped that this child could be as lively and cheerful as her. Xing Xiao knew that she wouldn't like it, so he kissed her head and said, "If you don't like it, can't you just call her little Chi? Can you be so casual? She's Xing Xiao's daughter." Mu Chichi pointed at the baby in the swaddling clothes and asked with a bitter smile, "Besides, didn't your grandfather give her a nickname? What's her name?" And then Mu Chichi was speechless. After a moment of silence, Mu Chichi suddenly touched her nose and said, "Then let's call her little Chi. However, we can only call her that in private. Otherwise, that old man will be angry." Xing Xiao was quite satisfied with his wife and daughter. So, on the first day of Song Jiang's arrest, he brought the mother and daughter home. In the interrogation room of the 9th Division, there was a musty smell. Song Jiang knew that this was not an ordinary police station. Chief Long entered the interrogation room with the file. He looked at Song Jiang and sat down in front of the interrogation table. "Song Jiang, did you know that on the night Xin Mei came in she spat out all the secrets in her stomach?" "I heard." Song Jiang snorted coldly. "So, how long do you plan to hold on? Let me make it clear first. Your son has already explained everything that needs to be explained. Your dens in J City and your 2 assistants have also been arrested. We are also doing our best to arrest the murderers of Baisini's suicide cases. Of course, your good friend, Deputy Liang, has also been taken away. Do you have anything else to add?" Chief Long asked with narrowed eyes. "Since you already know, what else is there to ask?" Song Jiang asked sarcastically. "Song Jiang, you probably don't know where you've come in." Chief Long shouted sternly. "Let me tell you, as long as the 9th Division wants to, I can make you beg for death. I know you've been brooding over the case from more than 20 years ago, but let me tell you, Song Jiang, not everyone in this world is like the Song family. They can betray their compatriots and their country for benefits. I don't think the Song family deserves to die. They should have died a long time ago. A family of sinners that have been through the ages still has the face to come back for revenge 20 years later?" As lowly as an ant. After saying the last 4 words, Chief Long stood up. "I get angry when I see you. You wasted so much of my time. Get someone else." The meaning behind his words was different. It all depended on how long Song Jiang could hold on. Interrogating Song Jiang would take time, but what was certain was that Song Jiang would no longer be able to come out and do evil. However, what Chief Long did not expect was that old Master Shen would use his connections to look for him, hoping to meet Song Jiang. From the standpoint of the Shen family, it was true that Song Jiang had made Jianchuan a mess just to settle the score with the Shen family. The Shen family was naturally aggrieved. "Let old Master Shen come in. Arrange for Song Jiang to be in a clean visiting room. Don't dirty old Master Shen's eyes," Chief Long instructed his subordinates. Shen Jianchuan was also accompanying Grandpa Shen. However, when they arrived at the visiting room, Shen Jianchuan did not accompany the old man in. "Old Chief, I only have 3 minutes." Old Master Shen nodded. He would never make things difficult for others. However, before Song Jiang was executed, he had to let Song Jiang die in peace no matter what. Song Jiang didn't seem surprised to see the old man. "I knew you would appear. After all, the Shen family is so shameless. I'm here today to let you die in peace. Why was your Song family destroyed back then?" Old Master Shen sat on the chair and said to Song Jiang, "There are a few details that you don't seem to know." Chapter 985. I'm about to die, yet you're still willing to come. I know you want to tell me that everyone in the Song family deserves to die. The Shen family thinks that they're righteous. Song Jiang closed his eyes and placed his hands on his legs. "I only remember crawling out from beside my father's and brother's corpses. I don't want to know anything else. My duty is only to protect the country, so I don't regret executing the Song family at all. However, I have to tell you 2 things. First, your father and brother had a batch of gold in their hands. At that time, because of the uneven distribution of the loot, they even quarreled. Second, before your father died, he begged me to kill you and let your brother go. You must know better than me why your father treated you like this. It's just that you chose to deceive yourself. You claim to have done something amazing for the sake of hatred and revenge, but you just want to prove yourself. Compared to your brother, you won't lose to him. Do you really hate the Shin family? Isn't your father the one you hate more? Song Jiang listened calmly with his eyes closed, as if what old Master Shin said was nonsense. However, the soft flesh deep in his heart was pinched in someone's hand. Song Jiang felt as if his heart had suddenly been torn open by someone. The winner takes all. You can say whatever you want now. Song Jiang shrugged. You should be very happy that I was defeated by my own son. You can destroy me without any effort. But let me tell you, old man Shin, I'm not dead yet. Even if I die, I won't let the Shin family off. Your father doesn't care about you. He left all the good things to your brother and gave the woman you like to your brother. You're indignant and unwilling. Why do all the good things belong to your brother? So, on the surface you're avenging your family, but in fact you're indifferent to family love. You don't trust anyone. You even used your daughter and treated your son as a tool because you didn't get your father's true love since you were young. Shut up. Song Jiang couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Why doesn't your father like you? If it were me, I wouldn't like you either. Some people are born to be unable to do great things. Look at you now. Aren't you here? Old Master Shin ignored Song Jiang's emotions and continued to provoke him. And most importantly, you're going to die. You think you can bring honor to your ancestors and hold your head high in front of your father in the future, but you still can't escape the fate of being executed. I told you to shut up, you old thing. Song Jiang was completely enraged. He stood up from the chair, but he couldn't reach old Master Shin. If I were you, I wouldn't even want to be a ghost. After all, if I go down and see people, I'll be embarrassed. After saying that, Grandpa Shin put on his hood and left the visiting room. He wanted to directly destroy Song Jiang's heart so that Song Jiang would have no desire to struggle. He wanted Song Jiang to recognize how ugly he was. Whether he lived or died, it was of no value to him. Shin to old Shin to old to Shin to Shin to Shin to old to Shin to Shin to he. Of course, with Shin Jianchuan. When the old man came out, Chief Long said to the two of them, I used to think that physical torture was the best way to make a person speak. Only now do I realize how terrifying it is to destroy the heart. One could tell from Song Jiang's pained and crazy expression. He could endure the pain, but the entanglement and pain in his heart was like a blunt knife. It couldn't kill him in one strike, but it would grind against his flesh. I didn't expect the grudge from so many years ago to lead to so many cases. I'm also guilty. Old Shin, don't say that, Chief Long replied immediately. Interrogate Song Jiang properly. Don't let those innocent lives die in vain. With that, old Master Shin and Shin Jianchuan left the 9th Division together. The sky outside was gloomy and cold. Grandpa Shin looked up at the sky and suddenly felt a little helpless. Dad, let's go home. Our family is reunited. Grandpa Shin nodded. Soon, the father and son disappeared from the entrance of the 9th Division. According to Tang Yen, that night, Song Jiang confessed everything, including how he pretended to commit suicide and created the murders of those girls. In fact, he was using Changrong to recruit young girls. Then, in order to rope in power, he gave those young and beautiful girls to powerful people as gifts. When those girls were out of control, or rather they were tired of being played with by the other party, a suicide case could cover up everything. Although Tang Yen and the others had long known that this would be the result, they still found it unbelievable when they heard Song Jiang say it. Human lives were toys and weapons in his hands. Even Song Buji and Song Qiaoji couldn't escape misfortune. After that, he also confessed to a few cases he had committed abroad, such as forcing Song Qiaoji's fiancée to death. All in all, the 9 rounds that night were quite fruitful. Old Qing heard the news from Tang Yen at the branch office. He had gotten his revenge, but he didn't feel happy at all. This was because there were at least 10 lives in Song Jiang's hands. How many families were there? As police officers, they guarded the lights of thousands of families, but someone like Song Jiang could easily destroy so many reunions. This kind of person should be shot 10 times. The court knows how to sentence him, Tang Yen replied. Where's Song Buji? I don't believe he's innocent. Of course, Song Buji wasn't innocent, but when he went to the 9th Division to make an exchange with Chief Long, he had made the conditions clear. He could give Song Jiang all the evidence of his crimes, but Chief Long had to promise to keep him free. If an ordinary police officer were to face such a matter, they would never compromise, especially Tang Yen. A mistake was a mistake. Your father's mistake and your mistake were not the same thing. However, the Ninth Division was involved in major cases. Keeping one person could be exchanged for the safety of many people. After weighing the pros and cons, they had the right to make such a decision. Don't sigh. At least Song Jiang was caught in the end. Tang Yin patted old Cheng's shoulder. It's cold. Let's go back from work. It's time to find someone to warm your bed. Song Jiang was arrested, but Yashang Group did not close down. Song Buji knew that Jianchuan was not a place to stay for long, so he took the last capital of Yashang Group and emigrated abroad. Being disabled might be the biggest punishment for him. However, before he left, he sent someone to deliver a letter to Mu Qiqi. Little bride, don't let me see you next time. Otherwise, I won't be able to resist chasing after you. Mu Qiqi quietly tore the letter because she could imagine how black someone's face would be if they saw it. Mu Qiqi also knew that Song Buji had done many evil deeds, but he had done a meritorious deed by reporting her father. Now he had even slipped away. Moreover, to be liked by such a scumbag, she just wanted to spit on him. Spit on what? Master Xiao asked as he took off his clothes behind her. Chapter 986. There's something in my mouth. Mu Qiqi quickly played dumb. Let me see. With that, Xing Xiao turned Mu Qiqi's head around and kissed her. When Mu Qiqi couldn't breathe, he said, "There's something." Xiao Xiao, what were you looking at just now? Do you think I didn't see it? Xing Xiao was jealous. He hooked his arm around Mu Qiqi's neck and snorted. You only belong to me. Don't even think about it. Mu Qiqi rolled her eyes and expressed helplessness at Xing Xiao's possessiveness. Speaking of which, we're not legally husband and wife yet. If it weren't for the fact that she was still in confinement, Xing Xiao would have slapped her little butt. Can you repeat what you just said to me? Mu Qiqi did not have the guts. She shrunk her neck and used breastfeeding as an excuse to leave Xing Xiao's sight. The two of them had been registered abroad for a long time, but the domestic law had yet to recognize them. Mu Qiqi's birthday was around the corner. Could it be that he, Xing Xiao, couldn't change the marriage certificate even if he wanted to? Since she had already given birth to her daughter, she could forget about escaping. From that day onwards, Mu Qiqi felt that Xing Xiao had been mysterious all day. Although he had helped her coax her daughter and carry the child as usual after he returned from Zhongting, she still felt that something was wrong. For this reason, she specially went to ask Mama Sheng after little Qi fell asleep. However, Mama Sheng said that she did not feel that there was anything different about Xing Xiao and told Mu Qiqi not to think too much. Mu Qiqi finally endured it until Xing Xiao returned home. When she saw him carrying his daughter the moment he entered the door, Mu Qiqi suddenly exploded. I knew it. Now that you've entered the door, the first person you look at isn't me. Xing Xiao said coldly, we're not legally husband and wife. Why should I carry you? Mu Qiqi was speechless. I was just joking with you. Did you have to be angry for half a month? Mu Qiqi suddenly felt very wronged. I'm not busy being angry. I'm just busy making our marriage a reality. With that, Xing Xiao pointed at the marriage certificate on the bedside table with his chin. Mu Qiqi followed his gaze and was stunned. What's this? See for yourself. Mu Qiqi picked up the two red booklets and flipped open one of them. She was confused when she saw a silly photo of herself with Xing Xiao. This is? Little Qi wants to register, so Dad and I went to move your household registration out of the Mu family. We also changed your age by 1 year. Grandpa Xing went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and said that you're my wife now. So, I'm now Mrs. Xing, who is recognized and protected by the law? Mu Qiqi found it unbelievable. It turned out that it could be done this way. This man was as treacherous as ever. He always had an endless stream of ideas. In my heart, you have always been the protected Mrs. Sheng. It was rare to hear Xing Xiao say such sweet words. Mu Qiqi's face suddenly turned red. Come here. Mu Qiqi obediently returned to Xing Xiao and was held in his arms. Are you happy now? It feels weird, like I'm getting married for the second time. Mu Qiqi's words successfully angered Xing Xiao. A certain man's face darkened for another week. This was probably what it meant when they said that those who were favored had nothing to fear. Ever since her daughter was born, other than feeding her, Mu Qiqi had fifth aunt and Mama Sheng to take care of her for the rest of the time. As her biological mother, she had very little time to hold her daughter, especially when breast milk could be stored. Fifth aunt would ask her to store enough for a day. Then she could lie in bed and rest well. It was the last few days of confinement. Mu Qiqi would feel uncomfortable at night because if her daughter did not suck, she would feel that her milk was swelling. In the middle of the night, Mu Chichi sat up from the bed. Xing Xiao got up as well. What's wrong? Mu Chichi shook her head and smiled bitterly. I want to feed my daughter. It's swelling here. Xing Xiao lowered his head and looked at her, tugging at her pajamas. He pressed her down and said, Didn't you say that she would bite you? I still have to feed her. I'll take it as an invitation from you. With that, Xing Xiao untied her pajamas as if he was snatching food from his daughter. Mu Chichi was stunned. This man really did not play by the rules. Didn't you ignore me for a week? I'm just preparing something. Xing Xiao kept her in suspense. The two of them had been together for so long. Even though they had tattooed each other on their bodies, they did not have any intimate photos. In a few days, little Chi was going to take some photos, so Xing Xiao had also arranged for him and the little one to take a few sets together to make up for their past regrets. Mu Chichi was puzzled. She waited for a few more days. On the day that her confinement was over, Su Che picked her up and sent her to the best photography center in Jianchuan. A moment later, Mu Chichi arrived at the reception center. Seeing that Xing Xiao was already waiting there, she asked, Why didn't you bring your daughter here to take photos? It's not for her. It's for us. Xing Xiao hugged her and said, It's too empty at home. There's no photo of us. Mu Chichi was about to cry when she heard that. I'm so fat now. You want me to take photos? But to me, your current appearance is the most beautiful. Mu Chichi immediately stopped crying and asked very seriously, Are you serious? It's fake. I'm just a woman. No matter how fat or thin she is, I'll just make do with it. Xing Xiao deliberately teased her. You don't love me anymore? The photographer was smiling the whole time because he could see what a man was like when he loved a woman with all his heart. Therefore, when Xing Xiao was changing, he dragged Mu Chichi to the computer and enlarged Xing Xiao's photo for her to see. Mrs. Sheng, your husband really loves you. How can you tell? Here. The photographer pointed at Xing Xiao and tilted his head to look at Mu Chichi's photo. In his eyes, you're the most beautiful reflection. Mu Chichi's face suddenly turned red. So, in his eyes she was actually like this. So, she couldn't help but cover her face. How could Xing Xiao not love her? He simply loved her so much. When Xing Xiao came out of the changing room, Mu Chichi immediately pounced on him and hugged the man. Xing Xiao frowned and looked down at Mu Chichi. What's wrong? Nothing, I just suddenly discovered your secret. She had been with him since she was 17. Now the two of them were already parents. Their relationship did not seem to have changed. In the past few years they only had each other. However, even though their daughter was born, the two of them had many things that they had not had time to do, such as taking photos and traveling. Xing Xiao would soon let Mu Chichi go back to school. However, before that, he only wanted to take her abroad for a sweet honeymoon. Time flew by. Soon 2 years had passed. Mu Chichi, who had graduated from Xingting, had passed the national exam and officially become a forensic doctor. She had returned to the Jianchuan branch office. As for the little darling of the Sheng family, she was already 2 years old. Recently, the thing that gave Mu Chichi a headache was that the child was very attached to Xing Xiao at home and always ignored her, her biological mother. She could walk now and call for daddy and mommy. However, this child had liked to look at appearances since she was young. She acted cute and relied on her father. Therefore, recently Xing Xiao had fallen in love with getting off work early. The moment he returned home, he could see his daughter staggering to him. Daddy. Daddy. Xing Xiao bent down to pick up little Chi and sat down on the sofa. At this time, little Chi would slide down from his legs and lean against his thigh as she sat on the floor and played with toys. As long as Xing Xiao moved, she would cry. Mu Chichi usually arrived home at 8 o'clock because before she went home, she would first disinfect herself and get rid of the smell on her body before entering the house. However, when she entered the house and saw her man being taken over, she was unhappy. Little Chi, can you return daddy to mommy? Little Chi pushed her away. I don't want mommy. I want daddy. Daddy is mommy's. Little Chi kept shaking her head. He's mine. Mu Chichi stood up and glared at Xing Xiao before returning to her room. She was not in a hurry. Anyway, someone would come to deal with her. Little Chi was doted on by the Sheng and Shin families. It could be said that she was doted on by thousands of people. However, the person she was most afraid of was old Master Shin because he would poke her little face with his beard. In a while, Shin Jianchuan would come over and take little Chi over to stay for a few days. Xing Xiao enjoyed watching the mother and daughter fight for a man's favor. He picked up little Chi and held her in his arms. Little Chi, do you like daddy or mommy? Daddy. Little Chi was very sensitive to these two words. But daddy likes your mommy the most. Xing Xiao handed the little cutie to fifth aunt and instructed, "Don't give her too much sweets. We're going to the Shin family later. It's enough for her." Okay. Fifth aunt took the little cutie and nodded. In this family, other than Xing Xiao, little Qi was the most clingy to fifth aunt, followed by Mama Xing. Mu Qiqi was barely the second last. Xing Xiao saw that his daughter was not crying, so he walked back to the room. When he closed the door and saw Mu Qiqi sighing, he said, "Do you know that your charm is not enough? It's because I don't spend enough time with her." Mu Qiqi was also reflecting on herself. "But you have to go to work like me. Why do you like our daughter so much?" "Because she likes handsome men just like you." Xing Xiao grabbed her and placed her on his lap. "It's because she's more like you that I love her so much." "But everyone says that our daughter looks more like you," Mu Qiqi said as she wrapped her arms around Xing Xiao's neck. After his daughter was born, Xing Xiao went for the surgery because he had promised Mu Qiqi that he only wanted little Qi as his child. He had witnessed the birth of the little guy with his own eyes. For this, he had been angry with his daughter for a long time. Mu Qiqi was also very satisfied with this. With her daughter around, there would be someone to inherit the love between her and Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao caressed Mu Qiqi's hair and kept sighing. "This is my eldest daughter. The one outside is my youngest daughter." Chapter 987. "You have such a heavy taste. Why are you sleeping with your daughter?" Mu Qiqi snorted. Xing Xiao hooked her chin and whispered in her ear, "Could it be that someone has forgotten to call me daddy on a certain day in the past?" Mu Qiqi broke free from his grasp and stood up from his embrace. "The older you get, the more indecent you become." Xing Xiao pulled her back and pressed her down on the sofa. "Little Qi isn't here tonight. No one will snatch me from you." Speaking of this, Mu Qiqi was filled with bitterness and tears. Little Qi was already 2 years old, but she was too clingy to her father, so she always slept between her and Xing Xiao at night. Although Xing Xiao always quietly carried her to the small bed in the middle of the night, with such a little thing in the middle, they no longer had the mood to do anything else. "Who wants to snatch you from her?" "Master Xiao, get this straight. I'm not even 25 years old this year. I still have a lot of young men looking at me." "Is that so?" Xing Xiao leaned over and deliberately left a very clear kiss mark on her neck. "I'm also very confused. Who in Jianchuan doesn't know that you're my woman?" At this point, Mu Qiqi felt even more bitter. Other than the group of stinky men at the branch office, Mu Qiqi had never come into contact with any other men. Everyone knew that she was labeled as this stinky man. "You win. You're amazing. Can you?" Mu Qiqi was obviously unhappy. "Your daughter loves you the most and is the most clingy to you. Go and live with your daughter. But the one I love the most is you." Xing Xiao propped himself up and looked at Mu Qiqi. "You're still complaining. Not long after you came out of confinement, you applied to resume school. For the next 2 years, you were so busy every day. If I didn't understand you and let you take care of the child when you went home after work, what would you do? But little Qi really doesn't kiss me. I'll just kiss you." With that, Xing Xiao's kiss landed on Mu Qiqi's lips. "I'll let you kiss me all you want tonight." The couple had not been intimate for a long time, so they got entangled on the sofa. It was as if Xing Xiao had completely turned into a hungry wolf. He went from the bedroom to the bathroom and from the bathroom back to the bed. He took Mu Qiqi over and over again, not giving her any time to rest. He had calculated that when his daughter went to the Shin family, he would ask her for the interest for the past 2 years. After he was done, Mu Qiqi looked out of the window and decided not to sleep anymore. It was almost dawn anyway. Thinking that she had to go to the police station for a drug test early in the morning, she propped herself up from the bed. Xing Xiao put his arm around her waist and pulled her back to the bed. "I've asked for leave for you. It's all your fault. You have no self-control." Mu Qiqi held her waist and felt that her legs were still trembling. "You're almost breaking my bones." When Xing Xiao heard Mu Qiqi's complaint, he pulled her back into his arms and hugged her tightly. "No matter how much I love little Qi, you're my soul. Last night, I felt that my soul had returned to its place." Mu Qiqi immediately let go of her angry face. "When little Qi comes back from the Shin family, let her sleep with fifth aunt. That's too harsh on her." Mu Qiqi couldn't bear to do it. She didn't have much time to spend with her daughter. If they slept together at night, she could still hug her daughter. If she really let little Qi sleep with fifth aunt, perhaps little Qi would call her auntie soon. "Woman, your name is contradiction." Anyway, Xing Xiao had asked for leave for Mu Qiqi, so she simply slept until noon. When she woke up, Xing Xiao had already gone to Zhongting. This was the difference between men and women. They had clearly not slept all night, but men could still go to work in high spirits. When they arrived at the police station, Feng Shanshan saw that she was wearing a silk scarf and blinked at her. "Did you come hard last night?" A man who has been hungry for a long time is simply unreasonable. Mu Qiqi sat on the stool, feeling a little listless. "Shanshan quickly touched me. Do I have a fever?" Feng Shanshan reached out and felt it. As expected, she said, "It's not clear yet. I've already done the drug test. You can go back and rest today." Mu Qiqi's ears were buzzing. She couldn't hear what Feng Shanshan said at all before she fainted. Feng Shanshan was so scared that she quickly took out her phone and called Xing Xiao. When Xing Xiao heard that Mu Qiqi had fainted at the branch office, he immediately postponed the meeting and brought Mu Qiqi back to the Banyan courtyard. The family doctor came over to take a look and said to Xing Xiao, "Co Xing, you have to control yourself during sex. Madam is fine, but you have to pay attention to rest." Mu Qiqi had actually woken up a long time ago, but when she heard the doctor's words, she only wanted to find a hole to hide in. Who would have a fever because of such a thing? Not long after, Xing Xiao asked Fifth Aunt to send the doctor away. He returned to the bedroom and sat by the bed. He sighed. "From tomorrow onwards, no matter how busy you are, you have to keep exercising. You're the one who should control yourself," Mu Qiqi said with a red face. "You even embarrassed me in front of the doctor." Xing Xiao hugged her in his arms and kissed her forehead. "Don't do this next time. If you have a fever, I'll be the one feeling sorry for you." Mu Qiqi buried her head in Xing Xiao's arms, unable to say anything at this moment. The two of them were still the same as before they got married. No matter how mature and steady Xing Xiao had become in front of outsiders, the way he doted on Mu Qiqi was almost the same as before. Sometimes it was even more than before. As for Mu Qiqi, because she was an official forensic doctor, she naturally had a cold and serious face when she was working. However, in front of Xing Xiao, she was still the young girl who had a crush on him. "All right, you can go back to Zhongting to work. I'll rest at home." "Okay." Xing Xiao kissed her forehead and placed her steadily on the bed. Mu Qiqi quickly fell asleep. However, when she woke up at night, she saw Xing Xiao holding his computer and sitting on the sofa in a video conference. Mu Qiqi looked at the back of the man she admired and loved deeply. Her heart felt warm and satisfied. In the evening, Huang Yu sent little Qi back. This time, little Qi only lasted for 2 days and 1 night. As soon as the child returned home, she looked for her father everywhere, so Mama Xing quickly sent her to Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi's bedroom. When the child saw her father, she immediately staggered over and hugged her father's thigh. Xing Xiao picked up his daughter and said to her, "Mommy is sick. Little Qi can't be noisy. Can you promise Daddy?" Little Qi looked at her father with her big eyes and nodded. "Little Qi, be good. Then if Mommy isn't feeling well, what should I do?" Little Qi turned her head and looked at Mu Qiqi, who was lying on the bed. Then she slid down from Xing Xiao's leg and ran to the bed. She wanted to climb onto the bed, but her legs were too short. When Xing Xiao saw this, he helped her. However, little Qi climbed to Mu Qiqi's side and rubbed her little head against Mu Qiqi's neck. "Mommy?" Mu Qiqi immediately hugged the child and cried in satisfaction. "Good baby." Chapter 988. When little Qi was a little older, Xing Xiao was much stricter with her. For example, he had to let the little child sleep in her own small room. Also, he would not let little Qi act coquettishly on him anymore. The boundaries were established bit by bit. Little Qi knew that her father was not like before, where she could be hugged anytime and anywhere. Fortunately, the other family members still loved her, so she quickly forgot about this matter and returned to being the happy little girl she used to be. However, she liked her father even more because a little girl's heart was always respectful and loving of her father. Xing Xiao was more willing to spend time with Mu Qiqi. Recently, this person had been on the legal news because of her profession and gained a large number of fans. How could he not panic? Mu Qiqi could clearly feel the man's change. Although she knew that Xing Xiao doted on her, her daughter was still so young. Mu Qiqi could not bear to be rejected by her father. "Little Qi is our daughter. Of course I love her, but that's different from the relationship between us. Because the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with is you, so to me the most important person in this life is also you. Little Qi will have her husband to love her in the future, but you only have me and I only have you." From then on, Mu Qiqi stopped saying such things because she knew that this man would know his limits. He could be a good husband and a good father. Recently, during the rainy season, there were many murders in Jianchuan. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan did not relax for a moment in the laboratory. The body that had just been sent was a young man in his early 20s. He had fallen to his death. The family did not believe that the deceased had committed suicide. They asked the forensic doctor to perform an autopsy and give them an answer. However, the family did not tell the forensic doctor that their son had HIV. Therefore, when Feng Shanshan's blood test found that the deceased was sick, she quickly stopped Mu Qiqi and prevented her from performing an autopsy. This person has an infectious disease. Mu Qiqi was stunned for a moment. Thinking of the glove she had just broken, she was a little nervous. Don't touch me either. Mu Qiqi quickly pushed Feng Shanshan away. HIV did not lose its activity when the deceased died. Under certain conditions, even in harsh environments, it could still recover its activity and continue to replicate when it encountered lymphocytes. That was why Mu Qiqi was so nervous. You go and disinfect first. I'll go talk to the family. Feng Shanshan pushed Mu Qiqi to the disinfection room, while she walked out of the lab to the waiting area for the family. Although I understand that you want to find out the cause of your son's death, why didn't you tell us that he was infected? Is the life of a forensic doctor not a life in your eyes? After the deceased's parents heard this, they were a little helpless. We thought that since he was dead, it wouldn't be contagious anymore. Do you think a forensic doctor's life is made of iron or steel? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. When Tang Yin heard this, he walked out of the deputy director's office. He looked at Feng Shanshan and asked, "What happened?" The deceased was just sent over. The blood was still warm, so we asked Little Seven to do an autopsy. In the end we found AIDS. The couple didn't say anything. Let's go see Xiao Qi first. I'll handle this. Tang Yin patted her shoulder to suppress the anger in her heart. You better pray that there are no wounds on my colleague's hands. With that, Feng Shanshan returned to the lab and carefully examined Mu Qiqi's hands. It's a blessing in disguise, but there are children at home. Go home and disinfect them properly tonight. I'm not going home tonight. I've already called Master Xiao just now. I'll sleep in Zhongting's office for 2 days, Mu Qiqi said. What if there are any wounds that I didn't notice? The little girl likes to kiss me recently. I don't want to regret it. It's not that I'm saying this, but these people are really wicked. Feng Shanshan was dissatisfied. I'll take out the body first and deal with it before dissecting it. Mu Qiqi knew that Feng Shanshan was worried, so she smiled and shook her head. It's fine. Isn't there a special research studio under the CEO? Let him take you to do the examination and disinfection. Got it. Mu Qiqi nodded. In the evening, Xing Xiao personally drove to the branch office to pick Mu Qiqi up from work. After knowing about the AIDS, he immediately sent Mu Qiqi to the research lab under Zhongting. This research lab existed for Mu Qiqi. Most of the things that were developed were for Mu Qiqi's convenience. After that, Xing Xiao applied for the patent and put them into production. Don't touch me before the results are out. Xing Xiao did not care about her. The two of them were one, so there was nothing to avoid. There's nothing on your body that I can't touch. Xing Xiao held her hand and did not allow her to refute. He directly sent her to the laboratory. After 2 hours of examination and disinfection, the researchers sent Mu Qiqi back to Xing Xiao's side. "CEO Xing, don't worry. We've already thoroughly disinfected Madam. Moreover, she won't be infected with the virus." Xing Xiao held Mu Qiqi's hand and brought her out of Zhongting. "Are you relieved now? If you're really infected, at most we'll be one. Anyway, we just need little Qi. But I still don't want to go home tonight. I want to go to your office," Mu Qiqi said as she tugged at Xing Xiao's arm. "You want to sleep in the office? Can I take it as an invitation?" Xing Xiao suddenly turned his head and smiled at the little woman beside him. "It's not impossible, but I'll stay with you. You're really not afraid of death at all." Mu Qiqi could not persuade him. The couple did not go home that night. Although Mu Qiqi felt that it was indeed a little too much, only those who had come into contact with this profession and this virus would know what kind of feeling it was in their hearts at that moment. It would be a lie to say that she was not afraid of death. She had a happy and beautiful family. She did not want to lose everything because of this. With this lesson, she had to be more careful in the future. Xing Xiao, on the other hand, looked indifferent. He looked as if he would go to heaven and hell together in life and death. Mu Qiqi was very helpless, but she also loved him very much. Because she knew that even if she was infected with an infectious disease and had an incurable disease, Xing Xiao would never give up on her. Late at night, when they were resting, Xing Xiao pressed her against the bathroom and kept kissing her as if he wanted to tell Mu Qiqi, "As long as I'm here, even if the king of hell wants to, he won't take you away because I'll snatch you from him." You're always so domineering, Muchichi replied as she wrapped her arms around his neck. So, you have to accompany me until I'm 70 or 80. With that, Xing Xiao forcefully took Muchichi and let her feel his presence in the misty bathroom. Don't let your imagination run wild anymore. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can't get out of bed tonight. Chapter 989. The saddest thing in life was to have a baby face that looked like he was in his early 20s when he was already in his early 30s. As the chief assistant of Zhongting's CEO, Su Che's annual income was 7 figures and he had a house and a car. He should be at the age to start a family, but he did not even have a girlfriend. As the little princess of the Sheng family grew up, he came home earlier and earlier. That meant that Su Che had more and more free time. In fact, it was Muchichi's intention. Su Che should have found someone to accompany him a long time ago. It was another boring night when Su Che was called home for dinner by his big brother. In fact, it was to arrange a blind date for him. The other party was an English teacher who had studied abroad. He heard that Su Che was a good man and wanted to meet him, but he quickly got up and left when he saw Su Che. Rumor had it that Su Che was already 32 years old, but the young man in front of him had just reached adulthood. Although he was handsome, but what women could not stand the most was looking older than the people around them, which was why he left immediately. Brother, can you not make such arrangements? Su Che was helpless. I'm thinking about your happiness. A voice came from the kitchen. Where's Yang Yang? Su Che changed the topic and looked around for his nephew. He's been addicted to games and doesn't even eat. Su Che answered while cooking. Su Che pushed open the door to his nephew's room and saw him fumbling with his phone. I dropped stars again. The well-behaved little boy jumped up when he saw Su Che. Quick, help me play games, help me rank, help me get stars. Su Che took the phone with a frown. The child had been addicted to mobile games recently. Kings of Glory was a very popular game recently. Adults and children could play a game as long as they sat on the sofa for half an hour. It was indeed very relaxing. He was Zhongting's assistant after all and had extraordinary skills. But now he was being suppressed by his nephew to play games? If I help you get stars, will you eat obediently? Su Che asked the child in his arms. Tick. Su Che put the child down and looked at the game's controls seriously. What hero do you usually use? Lu Ban. The child scratched his head and laughed. Because he's a primary school student. He fits my temperament. Su Che shook his head helplessly. Then he saw Han Xian in his hero pool. You spent money? Of course not. I had to save up diamonds for a long time before I got a crystal to exchange for it. The child hurriedly explained, recently, a big sister added me as a friend because she said I'm a cute noob. She even invited me just now. I don't want to play with her. Su Che sat down on the child's bed and saw someone pulling him up. Her in-game nickname was Win or Not, and her avatar was a cute little chubby girl. This was probably what the kids were talking about. Su Che agreed to form a team and entered the hero selection interface. Kid's hero pool was very small, probably because he didn't have much pocket money. Other than Arthur Luban, there was only Han Xian. Usually the child had been practicing with Lu Ban, so Han Xian had almost no proficiency. Su Che instantly chose Han Xian. When the child saw it, he immediately panicked. Uncle, you know how to do it, right? Are you Han Xian? Your dad is calling you. Hurry up and go. Su Che didn't like people chattering non-stop beside him when he was playing games, so he sent the child away. Then play well. I can't drop again. The child instructed Su Che as he went out. How could he drop a silver game? Su Che didn't say anything. At that moment he saw a faint message from the 5th floor. Brat, you've grown up. You chose Han Xian? Hurry up and switch back to Little Luden. Not only that, but she also instantly chose Li Bai. Su Che didn't move at all. He didn't intend to pay attention to the other party. Good boy, switch back to an elementary school student. I'll carry you. The other 3 floors followed. Damn, he's really an elementary school student. Let's do a 6-pointer. The 2 assassins will definitely lose. That was how low-end games were. Su Che completely pretended not to see it. He wanted to directly block the game, but for some reason when he saw Li Bai, Su Che resisted the urge to block it and waited until the game started. After the game started, Su Che saw Li Bai squatting in the grass with the blue buff and said a long string of words to Su Che, elementary school student, follow me or just hide in the grass. It's safe that way. Su Che couldn't take it anymore and replied, you talk too much. With that said, Suche went straight to the enemy's jungle and squatted in the grass by the river. When the other assassins were almost done fighting, he went forward and used punishment to take away the duff. Then he jumped back into the river without looking back. As it was a low-end game, there was almost no cooperation between teammates. Therefore, as long as the other party was slightly aware, they could directly approach the high ground in 6 minutes. During the entire process, his teammates were cursing. Han Xian is trash. He doesn't even join the team. Han Xian is an assassin. He doesn't even know how to catch people. Everyone is dead, but Han Xian is still fighting in the jungle. However, at that moment, Li Bai stood up and said to the other 3 teammates, "So what if he's an elementary school student? Aren't you guys still in the silver game? I brought the elementary school student here. I'll be the one scolding him. Who do you think you are? I'm not playing anymore. Hang up." The 3 teammates all started AFK together without even discussing it with each other. Then Li Bai stood under the tower with deep resentment. A group of adults are even inferior to my little Luden. Even elementary school students know not to give up. Suche, little Luden, be good? This round is over. We still have the next round. Suche persisted in fighting in the jungle. Soon he took out his 3rd piece of equipment and began to squat in all sorts of places to kill the other party's fragile opponents. 1 kill, 2 kills. Even if 4 people hung up, he wouldn't lose so easily. Right on the heels of that, he snatched the dragon from the dominator's position and drained all the other party's HP before returning home. Then he took the next route and broke through all the way to the other party's 2nd tower. If the other party came, 1 would die. If 2 came, 2 would die. And just like that, Li Bai stood under his own crystal and saw Suche's beauty. "Boohoo, you're not the little Luden I know. Who are you?" 15 minutes later, the game ended. The 3 people who had hung up were probably dumbfounded. They had actually won inexplicably. Then Suche returned the phone to his nephew to show off his achievements. "Can we eat properly now?" The little kid was happy to see his achievements and said to Suche, "Let me tell you a secret. This little sister is the lady boss of the dessert shop at the entrance of the residential area. She's a little chubby but very cute. If you think she's not bad, marry her and make her my aunt. It's okay if she's a little chubby. The most important thing is that the desserts at her house are really delicious." Suche, was this child a devil? He would betray his uncle's happiness for food? Even so, when Suche left his brother's residential area, he still paid special attention to the dessert shop at the entrance. The shop was called Orange's Nest. The decoration was bright and cute in the style of youth. As expected, it was very popular with children. Suche subconsciously looked inside and saw a girl with her hair tied up in a bun sitting on a chair playing games. She was indeed chubby, but her skin was surprisingly good. She looked a little round and cute. He also recognized the avatar in the game. It was her. In the middle of winter, Suche stood at the entrance of the dessert shop. After a while, he saw 2 shop assistants walk out with small pieces of Napoleon cake in their hands. "Sir, do you want to try it?" Suche took the small piece of dessert and put it in his mouth. No wonder the child liked it. "Give me one. I'll take it away." "Okay, sir. Please follow me." Suche followed behind the dessert shop assistant, but his gaze was on the seat by the window. Wasn't she afraid that the shop would collapse if she was so addicted to games? "Sir, our strawberry cake is also very delicious. Give me 1 piece each." Suche didn't know where his curiosity came from. He actually had such a strong interest in that round little Li Bai. He felt that he must have been possessed. So after getting the cake, he turned around and left. However, at that moment, a man came in. Then Suche heard the sound of someone slamming the table. "Xiaoyi, what do you mean? You said you would give me 100,000 yuan. Where's the money? You're very good at raising a gigolo. Why are you so stingy when it comes to your family?" Suche turned around and saw that the girl had finally put down her hands and stood up. "I worked hard to earn money. I'm willing to give it to whoever I want." "You raised a gigolo. He likes you, so I won't say anything. He's just using you, you know? You sent him to participate in professional player training. You spent a lot of money, but what happened in the end? After he became popular, would he still recognize you?" The man was tall and thin, but he was capable and strong. He grabbed the girl's hand and kept pulling it. "It's because you're fat. I told you to eat less and give me the money, but you didn't listen." The girl's eyes were red. She wanted to break free from the man's shackles, but the difference in strength between a man and a woman was too great. "Give me the money. I'll leave if I give you the money." "I didn't." The girl cried out. When the man heard this, he wanted to hit her, but Su Che grabbed his wrist. You shouldn't hit a woman. The man looked at Su Che's baby face and immediately smiled. Kid, how old are you? You should learn to mind your own business now. Before he could say the word mind your own business, the man's body had already flown out of the dessert shop. Xiao Yi and her phone widened their eyes as they watched this scene. Was he some kind of Superman? However, Su Che's face was calm as he asked Xiao Yi, "Are you okay?" Xiao Yi held her wrist and shook her head. "Thank you, I'm fine. You should call the police." "The police can't do anything about it. Although I don't want to admit it, he's my brother." "I've let you see a joke today," Xiao Yi said to Su Che apologetically. Xiao Yi said to Su Che apologetically, "To express my apology, I'll give you all the pastries in the shop today." Su Che didn't care about her pastries. He just looked at her phone that had fallen to the ground and said, "You're about to be reported." Xiao Yi immediately squatted down. "Ah, my advancement match. So what was this called?" She could give away the cake, but she couldn't lose the game? Moreover, she had just been caused trouble by her gangster brother. Now all her attention was on the game? Did all the fat people in the world have this kind of special ability? Did they forget things especially quickly? However, it was quite cute. Please remember the domain name of this book. Com. Wonderful Book House's mobile version. Com. Chapter 990. Su Che's Extravagance 2, Acting Cool failed. Her name was Xiaoyi. She wasn't fat in the past. She knew how to make authentic European-style pastries and was once a high-class pastry chef in a 7-star hotel. However, ever since she met a scumbag, her life had undergone earth-shattering changes. Because the other party was a gaming genius, she spent money to send this scumbag to the best professional team training, making him famous. However, the night he received the trophy, he rolled into bed with his new lover. From then on, she was unable to recover. She opened a dessert shop, played games on a daily basis and tried out the new products. Soon she became like this. However, because the taste of the cake was too good, even if she opened a dessert shop casually, it would still be very popular. In order to stop the customers, Xiao Yi thought of a method to limit the number of customers. However, it still did not stop the endless stream of customers. Instead, it became even more famous in the vicinity. Everyone knew that the lady boss of the dessert shop gave up her business in order to play games. She was very awesome. The owners of the 2 fast food restaurants nearby saw that her business was booming and wanted her to take over their shops. However, the lady boss said, "Expand the shop? Not interested." Was this the legendary Buddhist way of doing business? Xiao Yi's family had a prodigal brother who would come to cause trouble from time to time. However, ever since he was sent flying by the little brother last time, he had never come again. She didn't know if he was recuperating at home. Thinking of the little brother that night, Xiao Yi couldn't help but sneer at herself. He should be a little brother. She was already 27 years old, and the other party was at most in his early 20s. Thinking of this, Xiao Yi opened the Honor of Kings game interface again and found that her little disciple was actually online. Win or not, Little Luden, are you ranked? Jiba Primary School, don't call me Little Luden. I know Han Xian. Win or not, tell me honestly, you weren't the one who beat Han Xian that night, right? Xiao Yi pouted. This primary school student had actually learned to ask for help. Jiba Primary School, it's my uncle. Handsome, right? Let me tell you, he knows how to jump on roofs and walk on walls. I admire him the most. Win or not, do you think your uncle is a gecko? Jiba Primary School, my dad is in. Retreat. Xiao Yi looked at little Luden's blackened profile picture and suddenly thought of that night. The little brother in the brown windbreaker had sent her scumbag brother flying with one kick. Could it be that there really was a Superman in this world? Just as Xiao Yi was thinking about it, she saw Superman come to her door again. This time he was wearing a white down jacket and looked like a high school student. It was good to be young. It's you again. I'm really sorry that I didn't get to thank you properly that night. Su Che glanced at Xiao Yi and found that she was quite normal today. She chatted and laughed with him as she worked at the cashier. Give me a chocolate cake. I still have $3 left. You can take them all. I'll only charge you. As Xiao Yi packed for him, she said, seeing how handsome you are, I'm guessing you're no more than 22, but your skills are actually so good. After hearing Xiao Yi's words, Su Che was stunned. Then he took out his ID from his wallet and handed it to Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi took the ID card with a dumbfounded expression. After taking a look, her attitude became respectful. Big brother, I'm sorry, Actually, I'm not that old, Suche said lightly as he took back the ID card. Your chocolate cake is packed. Please take care. Xiaoyi quickly stuck out her tongue. Who would have thought that such a handsome guy who looked so fresh and tender was actually 32 years old? Those people who had been injected with hyaluronic acid would probably die of anger when they saw Suche. Suche didn't say anything else. He took the cake and turned to push open the glass door of the dessert shop. These things were all to be dedicated to his little nephew. When the little kid saw that Suche had bought so many cakes, he naturally flew into the sky. What a joke. Although that lady was a little chubby, her cake was really super delicious. Uncle, you're really capable. You bought so many at once. Do you know that this cake is limited? One person can only buy one. Was that so? Suche didn't know this rule. After all, the person who delivered the cake was always so generous. Last time he even said that he would give him all the pastries in the shop. Uncle, go chase after that lady. That way I can eat as much as I want. I'm so envious. The little kid sighed as he nibbled on the cake. Do you really want me to chase after her? Suche sat on his little bed and asked seriously. Yes, I support you 100%. The child raised his hand and swore. Actually, she's quite cute. If she can lose weight, she should be a great beauty. Suche raised his eyebrows and said to the child, then contribute your game account. The child was suddenly depressed. However, he could register another game account, but if he missed the delicious cake, it would be someone else's. Therefore, the child endured the pain and contributed his Heba primary school. Suche got the account and logged in. Sure enough, he saw that Win or Not was also online. Moreover, it had been 3 minutes since the start of the match. Suche entered her page and looked at her commonly used heroes. He found that she specifically chose Li Bai and Luna. These were difficult challenges, but her winning rate was less than 20%. This was probably in line with the legend of a fierce tiger. At a glance, he saw that her record was 0-5. Suche waited for a moment. In less than 10 minutes he invited Win or Not. There was a response immediately. Little Luden, you're online? Are you hiding in bed to play? Can I not choose Li Bai? Suche casually chose Little Luban and asked her. Then I choose Luna? Heba Primary School. In order to prevent Xiao Yi from choosing these two heroes, he quickly left and immediately used money to buy these two heroes. Then he chose Li Bai himself. Win or Not? Is the primary school student throwing a tantrum with me? Alright then, I'll give Li Bai to you. I'll still use Luna. When the other players saw this, they trembled. They could only hope that their two teammates wouldn't cheat them, okay? After the start of the match, Xiao Yi successfully lost a HP. Moreover, she died fighting the tower. Her teammates mocked her one after another. Damn, I encounter such a sinkhole every day. It's over. Don't tell me Li Bai is also an idiot? Li Bai, who was fighting in the enemy's jungle, was awe-inspiring at this moment. Seeing this, Xiao Yi immediately understood that this person was not her little disciple, but her uncle. 5 minutes later, Xiao Yi confirmed her guess because Li Bai's current record had already put 8 heads in his pocket. Therefore, she could not help but hang up. Little Luden, you're no longer the Little Luden I know. I'm going to blacklist you. Then a game came out and Suche found that he had been blacklisted. From this, his curiosity about Xiao Yi grew even stronger. What kind of girl was she? Because he had been blacklisted, the account was useless, so Suche returned the account to the little brat. Brother-in-law, don't tell me you failed to act cool? Suche thought to himself. Why don't I go straight to the shop to look for her? But wouldn't that be too abrupt? I can only say that Miss Xiao Yi has a very interesting soul. End of this chapter. Chapter 991. After much consideration, Suche still didn't do that because he didn't have the status or reason to do so. However, the number of times he came to the dessert shop had obviously increased. When he had nothing to do, he would come over to buy pastries. And because Xiao Yi was his benefactor, she would break her own principles every time and give Suche a lot of pastries. In the end, Suche's little brat actually gained a few pounds. Big brother Su strictly protested against Suche's behavior. If this continued, the child at home would soon get diabetes. If it weren't for the child's game, Suche might never have had any interaction with a dessert shop owner. They were people from different worlds, but Suche had a lot of curiosity about Xiao Yi. However, in the past few days, Xiao Yi hadn't appeared in her dessert shop. This made Suche feel an unprecedented sense of loss. Some people, if you saw them every day, you wouldn't feel that they were important. It was only when she suddenly disappeared one day that Suche figured out something. Because of curiosity, he seemed to have developed a different kind of attention and feelings for this girl. "Handsome, you're here again?" The shop assistant smiled brightly at him. After all, he was an old customer. In addition, he had a good temperament, so the shop assistant was usually more polite to him. "I haven't seen your lady boss in the past few days?" Suche pretended to ask casually. The lady boss went to watch some Kings of Glory professional competition. "What's it called?" "KPL. I heard that her ex-boyfriend is in one of the teams. I don't know why she still went. Isn't this reminiscent?" The shop assistant answered as she cashiered. Suche got the answer and also checked the recent situation of the KPL competition. This girl didn't seem to be afraid of getting hurt. If it were another woman, her ex-boyfriend would definitely smash the game console when he saw it after breaking up. But she seemed to be heartless? Suche took the pastries and returned to his high-class apartment. Looking at the clean furnishings in his house, he suddenly felt a little lonely. Although there were no tickets for the recent KPL competitions, with his status, it wouldn't be difficult for him to get one. Therefore, after work the next day, he didn't go to the dessert shop again. Instead, he took the ticket for the competition and entered the arena of the esports hall. While the host on stage was still talking nonsense, Suche turned around and looked for the slightly plump figure. He thought that it would be a little difficult, but under the huge banner, he saw Xiao Yi at a glance. Everyone else was here to cheer for their idols. She, on the other hand, was holding a huge banner just to curse the members of a certain professional team. The surrounding audience were all discussing, but she didn't seem to care at all. Suche chuckled, got up from his seat and walked to Xiao Yi's side. Xiao Yi turned her head and saw that there was someone behind her. She immediately said in surprise, "Why is it you, little brother?" "I'm here to watch the competition, but I was attracted by your huge poster. I realized you were an acquaintance, so I came to say hello." Suche sat down beside her. "I noticed that you haven't been in the shop for a few days. Have you been here?" "Okay." Xiao Yi rubbed her cold hands and nodded. "I'm here to cheer for that scumbag. It's been a while since the KPL competition. I don't want to go to other cities. It's a waste of my plane ticket money." Xiao Yi was so cold that she was trembling. The two of them were chatting when the security guard walked up and said to Xiao Yi awkwardly, "Miss, you've been holding such a banner for several days in a row. It's really a bad influence on us. Can you please be magnanimous? Take this thing away? Since you've accepted the money, as long as I don't bring any dangerous items, it's none of your business," Xiao Yi said indifferently. "But if you do this, it won't look good for everyone, right?" The security guard was extremely helpless. How did he meet such a brainless weirdo? "You really don't have to waste your energy on me. I won't take this banner." When the security guard heard this, his temper immediately flared up. "We'll refund your money. Can you please leave? Miss, can you please show some respect to the people here? This isn't your private backyard where you can vent your emotions at will. Perhaps I can also tell you where the backstage is. You can go and argue with him personally. Don't affect other people's moods, okay?" "Put it away," Suche said from beside her. "Using such a clumsy method won't be able to punish the person you want to punish. Why let others laugh at you? What do you want? I can help you. I want to go up and slap that bastard. Can you help me? If this can calm you down, I can help you go backstage." Suche tried his best to tell her calmly. Suche tried his best to be calm as he told her, "Since it's punishment and revenge, of course you can't hurt yourself, right? Can you really help me?" Xiao Yi looked at Suche expectantly. "Yes." After getting Suche's answer, Xiao Yi finally put away the huge banner. "No one wants to do such an embarrassing thing, but I'd rather be embarrassed than let that bastard have an easy time. There are many ways. For example, publicizing that bastard's shameless actions, or finding someone to secretly beat him up, or finding someone to seduce his current girlfriend and cheat on him. At the very least, sleeping with his coach and becoming his master's wife." When Xiao Yi heard this, she immediately laughed out loud. "What kind of rotten idea is that? That's better than you attracting a crowd here, right? I've sponsored that bastard for 3 years, turning him from a poor loser into a millionaire. I really didn't expect that the first thing he did after he became famous was to kick me away." When Xiao Yi spoke of this matter, her eyes were red, but under the powerful spotlights in the venue, it was not obvious. "From now on he's high and mighty and I'm just a pastry chef. It's very difficult for me to even meet him, let alone seek revenge. Then guess what I do?" Suche quickly diverted her attention. "Model?" Xiao Yi asked him. "No, you're so skilled. You should be in a profession related to martial arts." "Coach?" Bodyguard? Don't tell me you're a martial arts actor? You guessed right. I'm a professional bodyguard, Suche replied. Then aren't you really good at fighting? Xiao Yi became excited. Can you fight 1 against 5? If you're referring to the weak chickens in the competition, I really envy you. No one will dare to bully you. I also hope to become like you. Xiao Yi lowered her head and sighed. Her tone was filled with unconcealable disappointment. Why do you have to become stronger? Just find a strong boyfriend and you'll get it done in one go, right? Suche suddenly turned his head and looked at Xiao Yi. Actually, I'm that little bastard's uncle. Please remember the domain name of this book. Com. Wonderful Book House's mobile version. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.